definitely jumped into that top 12 at times, not able to consistently do it. And you have to imagine, you know, the LAN environment, you got to be poking at your boys like, come on, guys, I want to see you in finals. What's going on? Let's make it happen. So maybe a little help, a little coaching. I know a few of the teams that already qualified were looking to coach different players within Heat 3 and 4. So now we'll see. Does it play out in their favor? Another team that I would like to see do well is Sizlucky and DGen. We're checking them out very early on, and we've seen them over the past couple of heats have some good games, but just narrowly fallen short of that top 12.
Yeah, it really is interesting to see how tight the leaderboard is when it comes to 12 spots. Typically in a competition, there's a pretty decent separation, but I feel like when you have a format like this and it is just the top 5 games counting, you really don't know until the final moment. Anything can swap out and change there, especially for a team like Sizlucky and DGen, who typically find themselves at the top of a leaderboard.
And just jumping around. Seeing another team that I'd say typically finds himself at the top of the leaderboard is going to be Quinn and Vert. Vert gone back and forth from west to east, had some success on both regions. Now it's one region, so it doesn't really matter where he's at. But playing with a veteran in the space in Quinn, who's pretty consistently found himself successful. And on the other side of this fight, we've seen multiple teams qualify out of this area, but Threats and Quanti finished in 13th place, just one spot off in the previous heat, as they're now looking to make it up here in heat number 3.
Yeah, a lot of teams that we saw find some early success in heat 1 and 2, but didn't qualify on. One of those being Quinn and Vert. So to see them go head-to-head against Threats and Quanti is going to be an interesting one. Both landing here same spot. But as far as this fight goes, Quinn and Vert have the advantage. You see Quinn being a little bit more cautious, almost running directly into Threats, just trying to find the angle that he's hiding in. But it really just comes down to who could get the first shot. Will there be a big enough shot there? As one comes through, Quinn almost going down, but it doesn't matter as Threats gets picked up here in the final moments.
Hey, that's what you got to do. Turn that corner as a duo. Just quick maths. The team with 2 players is going to put out more damage than the team with 1. That's 9 out of 10 times going to be a win there when your players are that caliber. So easy to see them clean those up. And another little cleanup. And somebody who's been a Lanimal in the past is Kanata. Absolutely a terror when playing at LAN, pretty consistently at the top of the leaderboard. So surprising to say the least to see him here in Heat 3. Nonetheless, I think he gets it done regardless of how long it takes.
I agree. It definitely one that I did not anticipate to see here in Heat number 3. However, they're definitely one to watch closely as they can make it through. But one of those teams that are dedicated to zero build but hasn't quite made it through yet, Replays and Noah W Plays. 2 players, nice to see them making the way out to San Diego to compete here in this competition. But for them landing Mega City, this is going to be a tough drop, as there are so many teams choosing to contest this, including Epic Whale and Reet.
Yeah, this team has been landing at Mega City for playing the build modes, and it's definitely a little bit different when you're not able to just build up into the various spots, find yourself in different little corners, and there's so many places for players to hide while you're at Mega City. For builds, a great spot. For zero builds, might be a little more difficult to play at if you're not super comfortable with it, which, I mean, the season kind of just started, so I don't know how comfortable you could be this early on.
Honestly, probably not too comfortable, to be fair. I mean, especially when it's zero build, and for a lot of these players, it's not their standard game mode, but for Reet and Epic Well, it doesn't matter because these boys know how to get it done. Big shot comes through here. Reet taking a lot of damage, though, as Epic Well just trying to follow up there onto Noah Plays. Reet ends up going down. Unfortunately, gets caught off guard, but it doesn't matter. Epic Well is just that good, and unfortunately, does look like Replays. No, it was not Replays. It was Axe Force. Ended up coming in last second and getting the elimination onto Epic Whale.
Call them the cleaners coming up and cleaning that one. And it does look like Kanata goes down as well. So a couple of big names going down, and someone I want to give a shout out to and hopefully get to see them here today is going to be Rotten Twinkies and Jax. Those two have been playing super well consistently in the zero build mode. Hoping to see them have some success here today. As last couple of days, or I guess just yesterday, hasn't exactly gone the way of the top 12, but we have a sneak attack coming on. This is like a shark hunting its prey right here as Suscript about to take down Vortex.
Yeah, and that's a close fight here. The Kinetic Blade coming out, just trying to get away, but Suscript still finds him. And that is Volks now trying to return the favor towards Suscript, but immediately disengaging. Probably the play here at this point. You've lost your teammate, and you don't know where Haji is, so you just have to choose to disengage, get away, and try to fight for another day.
Yeah, that's the best play very often is try and just, okay, you guys, I know you're really good. Clear this out. We'll come back. I'll grab your card. We can play this again because there's only so much loot you can carry, and in zero builds, you're typically going to be able to find plenty of extras just laying around. Would like to see a little bit more of a team play from those two, because when you get caught out by yourself, it's very difficult to make those 2-on-1s. You can't just rely on being able to build quickly. So you have to either disengage, make a play quickly, and that's what Volks is trying to do now is get away from Axe Force and Vortex. There's those launch pads over by the dock, which are going to give you some mobility, and likely that's what we're going to see Volks try and use.
It's definitely the play here for Volks, but for Axe Force, more or less winning the POI and being able to get the vault, that's the huge start to game number 1. Could be the big game they need to start here. Not only heat number 3, but the day, because this is the first heat of day number 2 here at DreamHack San Diego.
Ooh. Okay, DJ, I see you. A little cleanup right there. It's difficult to choose. We talked about it ad nauseum yesterday, so I'll touch on it real quick and we'll leave it alone. But what shotgun these guys are picking up? Most of the time, the loadouts we're looking one movement, aka the Kinetic Blade, splashes or slurps, so one heal, and then Red Eye plus the shotgun. And the majority of the time, it's been that Havoc pump shotgun, although we have seen Mavens and the combat shotgun as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good variety. Typically, when you look at the standard BR, that Havoc shotgun is just the dominant reign here for the shotguns. But in zero build, there's a lot more variety in the choices there for the loadout. And speaking of variety, it's a change of pace here. It's actually Sev and Cheeky going to go ahead and pick up 2 players who we saw find some success early on in this game.
Yeah, nice little play on the edges zone there. Hold these players out, pick up a couple of elims, and like we mentioned earlier, it's going to be pretty aggressive early on in these first couple of matches because players are trying to put a staple on their tournament. If you guys didn't know, it's going to be the top 5 matches within this 3-hour window are what counts. So you could play 400 matches and only the top 5, as far as points go, are going to matter. So it's really worth your while to at least take a shot or two and play a couple aggressive games. And that's looking like what we're seeing by a couple of these duos.
Well, we got to talk about the teams that did find success early on. Of course, Refsguard and Hellfire, one of those premier examples of what you were just talking about. Game number 1, they came out swinging there, finishing at top 5 in their first game with almost 20 eliminations, which those eliminations almost by themselves led to the victory, the same points as a victory royale. So for these players, they have to choose how they're going to start the day. And in my opinion, if you're a fighter and you know how to fight here in Fortnite, take the fight to this lobby because the nerves are always high there in the first game of the day, and this is the perfect opportunity to strike.
Yeah, it's a great point. Do you get nervous, Pan? Are you someone where like the nerves hit? Say we threw you on a mouse and keyboard here. You gonna get nerves in the first game?
See, I'm a little different, right? And the reason I'm different is because I'm Booga.
No, Booga's
I
Booga.
am.
You're Panda.
No. See, what you don't understand by that is Booga actually hit me up and said, "Hey, can you play for me for World Cup?" And that was actually me in a Booga suit. So, so just so you know, yep, I'm not worried. I'm a World Cup champion. No, I'm just kidding, guys. But honestly, you get nervous whether it's an online event, but those nerves accelerate in in-person events. I haven't personally been able to compete in an in-person event, but I've done tons of online events, and I can only imagine the difference in nerves going into these ones, especially for us, we've seen the players firsthand. We've seen them at DreamHack events and Gamers 8 event. We watch these players warming up there on the stage and in the pit, and both in those circumstances, you could see the nerves are always higher in the beginning of the day. Not necessarily the beginning of the competition, right? It's the beginning of every day. So for heat number 1 yesterday, we saw the nerves high. Heat number 3 today, we see it again. And then tomorrow, I imagine the nerves are going to be there as well going into the finals when you're competing head-to-head against some of the best players across the world.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And I would expect, there's a couple of people that are just built different, right? That just doesn't matter what you do, they show up ready to play. It could be their first event in person. And for some reason or another, they get no nerves. Just not a single thought that this is going to be difficult. And hey, there's people like that. Some people are just amazing, incredible players. But like you mentioned, most people, including us, you get in that environment, it's just slightly overwhelming. But the cool thing is you get to have your teammates with you, right? So you know that you're playing with your teammate. And if you booked it far enough in advance, you get to sit next to each other, help each other out, and kind of pick each other up throughout the tournament.
I couldn't agree more. Definitely a viable way to look at it. But for teams who end up splitting midway through, we talked about that a little bit yesterday. There could be some shifts in teammates. They might not be able to sit next to each other. But don't worry, that's what Discord's for. But for players like Bolts and Chimp here, both pre-planned their competition together. And interestingly enough, Bolts, remember, he won the last DreamHack Open Fortnite event there in Atlanta. Now to see him still here in heat number 1, or heat number 3, I should say, is a bit of a change. Typically, Bolts is one of those players that you see make it through early on in the competition and then find his way into the top of the leaderboard. So to see that change here today is definitely an interesting one.
And not only did he win the last DreamHack event, he also won the last ever NA West FNCS. So that is something that you can hold now forever. You are the last champion of NA West FNCS, which without a doubt I would hold and tell you all the time, because when we're hanging out, I'd be like, remember when I won NA West FNCS? Yeah, no one else is ever going to be able to do that again. So I'm kind of crazy.
And honestly, you hear that, right? And you might be thinking like, oh, well, what was that, like a year ago? No, it was last season, because the servers just merged. So that is still a very, very recent accomplishment here for Bolt. So I'm curious to see how this plays out. But his teammate, ironically enough, his teammate for the FNCS that he competed with, Thoric, also competing here, but with a different teammate.
What do you think about that? Me personally, I've seen them on Twitter way too many times being like, we're not playing together, we are playing together, we're not playing together, we are playing, we're not, and it's just constant back and forth, and then tournament time comes and they queue up together. But I would love to know your thoughts.
I'll let it slide because this is a different game mode, but they definitely need to stick it out. They already qualified onto the Global Championship, so that they need to continue to play together so they get that chemistry up and get ready for the biggest competition throughout the year. That is that FNCS Global Championship coming later this year in Copenhagen, Denmark. So many great competitions between that and then Gamers 8, of course, which we're watching the first qualifying spots go to right now, is honestly an exciting year for Fortnite.
Yeah, D-Gen and Sizz getting in this little engagement here. Sizz is a player that's had a lot of success in some of these bigger events in the past. So, that experience, what we've been talking about, I'd imagine this is a guy that just has no nerves, just knows, all right, I'm kind of nasty at this, and I'm going to run through everybody. Good luck, everybody else.
I mean, sometimes you just have to have that confidence, right? Especially if you're used to being in these high-pressure, high-nerve situations. It's definitely kind of an ease at mind, knowing that, you know what, I probably have more experience than most of the people sitting here competing today, so I should be able to go into this and confidently walk away as a champion.
That is a solid mentality to have. Looks like the games are a little slower here, so compared to yesterday, what we saw early, there was much fewer players in these lobbies going into these 4th, 5th zones, so a little surprised, to be honest, to see this slower change of pace. But, when you take it from a macro perspective, it makes sense. You had the top players qualify from the last few heats. We said earlier on they're going to be the ones playing more aggressive. So you take those players out of the equation, and we get a couple of slower games, which might mean some more chaos in the end games, just like this little fight going on right here.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I don't know that that was the best play for Lame there. Almost getting the full elimination onto Vortexers, but not enough there. Or actually, yep, almost getting that full elimination there onto him. But honestly, you have to be careful. When you're a solo player, even if you have a knock onto someone else, as soon as you decide to take the fight or continue the fight and take those shots, players like Pamstu and Fatch are going to be looking and hunting for you. And trust me, if they find you, they're not about to let up.
Oh, no shot. These two are two that know how to finish a fight, and definitely a team that has high expectations. I've spoken to them, got to watch them firsthand at the last DreamHack Atlanta event, where they both played pretty well. Pam's a little better than the Fatch, but I think their expectations based on speaking with them are just always win or we didn't do good enough, which is, you know, a little unreasonable, but at the same time, you gotta love how confident and where their motive is. It's not simply just to show up and place in events, but it's to have a lot of success, which builds that mentality that you need in order to be a top player.
Yeah, I mean, look, the win mentality, the win mindset is definitely important here, especially when you're going up against the best of the best. And honestly, genuinely, this competition here for the DreamHack Open in San Diego is the best of the best. Traveling from OCE, NA, EU, all the regions coming together here to compete on the big stage is exciting to watch. But honestly, this competition is far from over, as we're just in lobby 1 of the day. And this competition's heating up as Quinn now goes down. Haji and Suscript jumping immediately on that. So they're going to be able to get the refresh there onto Quinn. But Vert going to be able to slip away just by the hair on his head. Just barely getting away from Haji and Suscript. He is going to use that kinetic blade to get in. But if you look at that mini-map, another team zooming right next to him.
Yeah, he's just going to sit here and cross his fingers. Hopefully no one sees him. Then I imagine he tries to either use the kinetic blade or one of those launch pads to get on out of here. So tough position if you're Vert. You can't take any storm damage. You can't take any rotations that go through storm. You're just going to be forced to play from wherever you're at. And when you see a team just hitting big beams up above you like Haji and Suscript, it makes it that much more difficult in order for a player like Vert to get to the next zone. So we're going to see how exactly they're trying to play. This is interesting. Okay, they are trying to use that glider to get even further into the storm.
Definitely an interesting play, but also a risky play. Remember, once you hit that glider, you typically get stuck in the air for quite some time. So if you're not careful, you can get caught off guard by some of these players who we know have the aim of a beast. One of those players, of course, being Bronos, hanging out with Oliver OG. An interesting duo, but I like it.
I like it too. Two more experienced players. Definitely some content geniuses, as I might say so myself. They're going to have to figure out how to qualify in this heat, finding themselves in one of the buildings, which is exactly where you want to be. These little corners, these nooks and crannies, just holding your ground as long as possible is the play, because we saw pretty much all yesterday. As soon as a fight starts, so many teams just jump on it, and you just have to cross your fingers and hope you're the one that makes it out at the end of the day, because there's a lot of luck involved. You could play this skillfully, but you have 5 teams drop on your head. I don't care how skillful you are. It's not going to be a great time.
It's not going to be a great time at all, but for Clarity G and Casca, they're doing good. They're doing enough, and they keep on moving. Axe Force going to be able to slip in there and take some of those much-needed heals here. You see Axe Force down quite a bit, but with 9 eliminations on the board, you understand why, because they have not stopped moving. Every moment we check in with them, it's just another elimination down there on the board.
Yeah, these two are definitely being the aggressors within this lobby. One of those EU teams that you mentioned that needs to perform here today, make the trip a little worthwhile, even though worst case scenario, you make friends, memories, some good times. How bad could that be? But these guys, competitors, they're trying to do more than just show up and compete. They want to win.
They definitely do. There's no reason that they don't too, because remember, just because we've seen players make it through in the final heats doesn't mean they're going to compete the same way in the finals, because that single lobby experience is so much different than the experiences that these players are going through right now. But for Bronos, Oliver OG, they're going up against Cam Nuts and High Sky. High Sky, a name I haven't seen in quite some time here in the Fortnite scene, so good to see him back and at it there, playing with Cam Nuts, a zero build consistent connoisseur of likes. But now they find themselves in a disadvantageous spot. They're down below, trying to trade. They do get the elimination onto Pam, Stu, and Fatch, but not before High Sky goes down to Degen.
And now it looks like Cam's going to try and make a play here and just hoping that nobody sees him. And that's not going to last too long. Vortexers and Axe Force are right there. Cam Nuts, see you, bro. That's only a matter of time. They're going to clean those up and go back to their spot over there hanging out. And there is Jackie's Godly. That was the Jax and Rotten Twinkies duo we were looking for. Looks like Rotten Twinkies has gone down, but nonetheless, still a top 5 game from them in game number 1 here.
Well, you got to remember, Rotten Twinkies has been one of the more committed players when it comes to the zero build community. Same with Jack as Godly. So to see him here in the final moments is unsurprising, but to see him in Heat 3 is a bit surprising. So we'll see how they continue to finish this out here after this first game. But for Clarity G, Casker, they have found a lot of success here in Chapter 4. I feel like it's a revitalization of Casker and Clarity G. So I'm excited to see them still in it here in the final moments of game number 1 on the day.
And we see Bronos just chilling, trying to milk this one out as long as possible before he's forced to go down. And he is eventually going to go down. It looks like the perfect play for him. He was able to just wait long enough, and then they focus somebody else. Axe Force and Vortexers find their next target. They do see Bronos now, and I don't know that it's going to be much longer for Bronos before he is that target. But Bronos goes right into the face of Degen and Sizz, and if they can clean this one up, it's going to be a final 2v2.
It's going to be interesting to see how it breaks down, but it looks like Bronos may have been able to slip away, but Sizz lucky. Degen's still looking for him, realizing that he is somewhere over on this side. But with Axe Force and Vortexers coming right back through, it could be anybody's game here in the final moments. 3 teams remain, 5 total players, and Axe Force looking to walk away with the first win of the day.
And it's the typical team on height versus the team down below, and it is going to be Axe Force and Vortexers that make the move there onto Bronos. Finally get him out of the lobby. Nice little clutch up to secure a few more placement points there, and now it's just a matter of who's making the play. Is it going to be Axe Force? Is it going to be Vortexers? And it does look like Axe Force is going to go for it. Absolutely beams, but Degen hits more shots, and Sizz Lucky is able to clean that one up. And that's the first victory royale of the day.
That was not how I anticipated that going there once we saw the remaining players. They had everything, right? They had the better loadout, in my opinion. They had a lot of things going for them, but unfortunately, they go down in the final moment there. But not without getting several eliminations, 10-plus eliminations on the board for them with a second place. Still a phenomenal game to start.
Yeah, and you have to respect them making the move, because they easily could have just sat there and dragged this out. But at the same time, they're also thinking like, hey, we have as many games as we can play, so might as well try and make a move here. There's no point in just sitting waiting. If this game's going to last another few minutes, that could be the difference between us queuing our next win or just simply having to sit back. So respect the moves all around.
Remember, this is one of those teams we talked about before. It's Thoric playing with Blur Antics. Blur finding more or less a wave of reputation in the zero build community. Sometimes he's on top, on a high, and then other times it seems like he's dipping down, but this could be one of those high moments for him as he's playing with an FNCS champion here in Thoric to finish off game number 1 for them. But with Clips, Sab still in this game, it's going to be a tough one to fight, but Clips, no, going down to Loki, a fan favorite from Heat number 1, but not until moments later that Loki goes down as well.
And we do see Merrick and Prospering up here on the high ground. One of those teams that, we've talked about. There's a couple different players that have focused primarily on the zero builds, and Prospering and Merrick are two of those guys that really have locked in, making sure this is possible. But locked in, looking at a fort head right here, and Clay's going to miss that one. Have to go back and hide and hope for the next shot to be more efficient.
I mean, look, every shot counts, so you need to make sure you're using them wisely. Here in Clay, with the sniper in hand, could make a big play there to finish it off. Prospering having a much better day there than day number one. Struggling a bit in day one in Heat 1. We saw some comments there on socials about, unfortunately, him and Merrick experiencing some difficulties there, Heat number 1. But Heat number 3, they're back with a vengeance and going up directly head-to-head with one of those EU teams. And Pablo Wingu, Bevies is down here, so it's just Pablo as a solo. Could be an easy cleanup here for American Prospering.
And this is such a great position for them. And we see Merrick just go straight up to try and see where everyone else is at. Luckily for Jackson J, he might be getting a second place here. Prospering needs to hit the shots, but he's not going to. A little assist there by Jackson in the tree. And now this is a 1v1v1, and our lobby number 2 is coming to a close.
You love to see it. This is the most intense finish as Thoric has the better shot, but unfortunately goes down. Merrick now left to fight it all, and Jackson J from the tree wins their first game. Honestly, I love the chaos of zero build. We're so used to, oh, yep, you see Queasy Vito on high ground. They're going to win it. Nah. In zero build, all bets are out. You never know who's going to walk away in the final moment. And sure enough, Jackson J taking their first game of the day.
Hey, sitting in a tree sometimes is the play, and that's exactly what Jackson J was trying to show us. And who knows, there may be more for him to play.
Could be so much more, but honestly, we had an incredible start here to the day. Lots of big plays made here to start it off. And honestly, one of those fights, obviously being the Quinn and Burt fight, bursting threats and his duo, that's going to be a tough one that we're going to have to watch throughout the day. Because every time they get in a lobby together, you know they're going head-to-head.
Definitely going after it. And a team that we've seen getting so aggressive here is Axe Force and Vortexers winning the first lobby. And then there's been lots of action here. We're going to be jumping around in case you guys weren't with us yesterday, trying to understand exactly what is going on. In that top right corner, it'll show you we're watching lobby 1, lobby 2, and just slightly shifting. We'll follow most of the games through. That way you can understand who's winning them. But, you know, we're not necessarily going to start at the battle bus every single time. That way you guys at home get all the action, get to watch as many of those VRs as possible.
Yeah, we know that you guys want to see all the action, but before we get back into it, we got to go to a quick break. So make sure to stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Fortnite Open here at DreamHack San Diego. I'm going to be honest with you, right? This was definitely a more energetic start, in my opinion, than day number one. Obviously, we saw a lot of the expected teams do well in Heat 1, but here in Heat 3, we're seeing a bit of a fire under the belts of some of these players that unfortunately just didn't have the day one that they were anticipating here, SPG.
Yeah, that's true. Now, what if I were to ask you to give me the same take, but don't be honest with me?
Listen, day one was better than day two. Day two has been terrible. No, I'm just kidding, guys. But honestly, one of those teams, of course, we got to talk about is Sizz Lucky and Degen right up there at the top with 106 points. A beautiful start there. 11 eliminations alongside the win to start here in Heat number 3. Now, again, this is one of those teams that I mentioned before that they have that fire underneath the belt here, SPG.
Yeah, something got lit underneath them, and that's going to be a consistent play. Lots of the teams that we were expecting and hoping to see up on the leaderboard is the teams that are the teams that are up here. And hey, showing up when it matters, showing up when they need it. We're only about 40-ish minutes into the day, so have to prove to us and themselves they can be consistent because based on the past couple of heats, it's been 320, 350 points that you need to qualify.
Yeah, I mean, day number one was a hefty one. We saw some teams get into that 300-point range, and we're like, okay, well, it'll probably be right there in the 330s. But nope, we saw Queasy Vino take it to new heights there in Heat 1. But Heat number 2 was definitely a different story. The points were a little bit lower. And so I'm going to base what I expect today to be a little bit more on what we saw from Heat number 2 because the competition was a little bit more fierce when you have those aggressive EU players starting off the day hunting everyone.
Yeah, we'll call you Panda Analytics.
Hey, listen, I'll leave that to Kench. The man's a legend. Same with Prodigy. But in all honesty, I love seeing these players from all across the world competing on a stage like this. But I want to talk about this. This is probably the tallest competitor in the entire lobby, and that's Toastiest Waffles. This man is 7'8". There's no way you miss him there in the land pit. So make sure to go say Panda said hi if you see him.
Wait, is that an exaggerate? Like, is he actually 7'8"?
No, he's like 6'9".
Okay, so still
he's like 11 height.
Extremely tall.
Very.
Okay, Toastiest Waffle. That is. I first saw him when we were doing one of the collegiate cups a few years ago, and definitely a fan favorite. It seems like whatever he does, everyone seems to support him. And now, I mean, it's going to be hard not to see him at DreamHack if he is 12'3". So go find Toastiest Waffles, tell him he's awesome, and hype him up.
This is a tough fight for them to find themselves in. Right there in the storm, Sizz Lucky Degen just cleaning up Toastiest Waffles there, but his teammate in Sacred going to be able to potentially slip away. But for how long, that's the question. Is Degen still on the hunt? Man, listen, this is probably the worst team to go up against here in game number 2 because Degen and Sizz Lucky are at the top of the leaderboard. Like, they had a spectacular start, and they're looking to continue doing what they do best. And unfortunately for Toastiest Waffles and Sacred, they were the first ones to go out to them.
Yeah, you know those teams are going to be so confident, too, after just winning a game. So nothing to hide behind. Those two feeling confident. We talked about Blake and Bizzle, two of the veterans within the scene. They were going just short in Heat number 2. Almost able to qualify, and I'm surely expecting them to make it here in Heat number 3. Already picking up that elim there in the feed. Lots of veterans. That is one of the things that I've loved to see about the zero build game mode is it seems to trend towards bringing veterans back into the space. And if you're a fan of some old school Fortnite, you got to be a fan of some of the players that have reappeared within the scene.
Look, I'm waiting for Zate. Zate, my man, if you can hear me, it's time. Come back for some zero build action. I would love to see the return of some of these players like Zate, like Saf, make their way back to zero build. You know, we've been seeing a lot more action from Saf, I should say, in recent years. We saw him play with Faxity on NA West, which was pretty cool to see. But regardless, so many other big names coming back to the game. And Bizzle and Blake, two big names that are veterans, but have never really left the scene.
He had definitely had some fading fires at times, I would say. Although, it's hard. We've now been, this is year 5 of Fortnite. It's hard to keep that same passion for 5 years. And, we're all humans. Sometimes that fire fades a little bit, comes back. Nice to see them still competing. Bizzle does have a, what's the right word for it? A tendency to become a different human when it becomes LAN time, because it just seems he shows up every single event that's in person. So it might be a little sleeper pick there when they're able to qualify.
I mean, after their performance in Surge Week last season for FNCS, I'm not sleeping on them anymore. I watched them land at a spot and not only qualify through Surge Week through consistency, but win their off-spawn engagement in a small area in the map 5 out of 5 games. Like, it's not easy to win a drop spot contested every single time, but sure enough for them, they were able to do it. But another fight that's taking place. Source, unfortunately, losing Notch here. Now going to have to play the bubble. Big shots rain through. Moody does get a bit of an advantage, but no! Source with the 1v2 cleanup. Moody, back to the lobby with you as Source and Notch finish off strong in that fight.
And you can't hear him, but he's screaming right now. He's just like, ah! Just absolutely clutching up for his duo. What a play there by Source.
Yeah, I can only imagine the excitement from them. That's the other beauty of these in-person events, being at the San Diego area for this DreamHack event. Hearing the emotions, excitement, the raw anger, everything that you experience when playing a game of Fortnite, well, you get to hear it live from San Diego.
Nothing like it, man. Being at one of these events, like we got to go to Atlanta together, and getting to watch these players. One thing is like how the game actually plays out, but then watching how many inputs these guys, like constantly moving their mouse, clicking different keys. There's just so much going on while playing the game. You just got to tip your hat to all these players who are seemingly able to do it at an unbelievable level.
Honestly, this could be some of the best that we've seen as far as even DreamHack history goes. Because again, we did get to see Atlanta. Atlanta was right after the FNCS Invitational, so we saw some EU players making their way over. We saw Queasy, Vino, Seti Kami, and so on. But this is probably the most cross-region play we've seen at a DreamHack in quite some time. Maybe even ever, SVG.
I'm trying to think. It probably is ever. This is the most we've ever seen from multiple regions, because we have, I want to say, a minimum 8 OCE players. We have, I'd say, probably 20 plus EU players, then a ton of different NA players. So yeah, I would, unless you want to be all stingy with me and like hypercritical about now NA is a single region as opposed to it being 2, this is definitely the most crossover.
Yeah, it definitely is. So I'm curious how this plays out here in the remainder, because remember, this is the first qualifier for Gamers 8, which is why a lot of these teams are traveling. The second qualifier is going to be in Dallas, so DreamHack Dallas, make sure to check that out there in the beginning of June. And then, of course, DreamHack Summer will be the third and final opportunity to qualify on to the Gamers 8 event through these DreamHack Open events. So I'm curious to see how that's going to consistently play a factor, right? Let's say Queasy Vino qualify, Sammy Ketty, or Ketty and Sammy, oh my gosh,
You got
Sammy and
this.
Tammy qualify, right? You say these big EU teams, they make it through. Do they make the trip to Dallas? Probably not.
That's a good question. But I guess at the same time, right, you got to do a quick little cost-benefit analysis. You finished top 10 in the last one, so now you probably expect to finish top 10 at Dallas. It has the same prize pool, and why not, right? Like, you get to travel the world, play some video games. I feel like as long as they don't have something personally planned. As competitors, they just want to get after it and play as much as they can. So I would expect them to make the trip.
I probably could see it too. They're competitors deep down in their souls, so they don't like missing events. So I can imagine they'll definitely make the trip over to Dallas, despite them potentially walking away with one of those spots here today in San Diego. But for Notch and Source, they're looking to claim a spot just into the finals as they find themselves here in Heat 3. Now, remember, Source, in my opinion, is one of the sleeper solo players now in the combined NA region. Previously in NA West Pro, now NA as a whole participating. And I think he's one of those players that would be a good fit for like a Booga, because he genuinely is such a good fighter and is so underrated.
Let's talk about it. We have Booga playing with Polo, at least for the time
Hmm.
being. One of those players that crazy creatively has that skill and not necessarily the greatest known player, but at the same time, you have Puga, who arguably could be the greatest player of all time, and depending on who you talk to, he's one or two. It's not like he's going much further down than that. So to see that combination is really interesting.
Yeah, the combo is, it definitely took me by surprise. When I first saw it on socials, I was like, okay, really? Like, I like this, but really? Because it's not typical of Booga to make a choice like that, especially one that you've never really seen them interact with. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out here for just a moment. But for Quinn and Vert, they're still in it, still trying to make something play out here effectively. Unfortunately, here in Mega City, you have to be super careful. Remember, you can't really break any of the facades there in the distance. You just kind of have to roll with the punches and hope that you don't get caught off by a team, because there's not an easy escape route in any direction when it comes to Mega City. Now, though, we switch over to Rotten Twinkies and Jack is Godly. Again, zero build through and through. This team, that is what they love, breathe, and play when it comes to Fortnite. So to see them here competing on the big stage in San Diego is exciting for sure.
Definitely love to see it. Rotten Twinkies, personal favorite of mine. Got to play some various games with him in the past, and him, a true quality dude. Playing video games is something he enjoys, and not only does he enjoy it, he's really good at playing games.
Hmm. Yeah, that he is, honestly. And another player that's not only good at playing games, but he has me laughing on the timeline. It is Sods. This guy, he is a comedian through and through. So to see him make his way over to San Diego and be able to compete at this high level, we saw him time and time again yesterday, making his way, creeping into the top 20 consistently, but unfortunately not qualifying yet here in Heat 3.
Definitely not. Still has plenty of opportunity to make it. We got Muzz and Bully trying to make their way through. They're another team that's been really close in Heat number 2. We saw them just outside of our top 12. They finished 14 points shy of qualifying, so definitely going to be there. Some opportunity and skill for these twos. Now it's time to prove it, as looks like the vehicle has gone awry for them.
Yeah, I mean, you want to try to protect that vehicle as much as possible, but when you're running straight into Jack is Godly and Rotten Twinkies, they know that you immediately have to get rid of it, but unfortunately not going to take the fight, opting to go for the kinetic blade play, which results in him getting eliminated. That's a tough one. I'm going to be honest, SPG, that was obviously, as we can tell now, not necessarily the best play to make, especially considering the pause in the kinetic blade. At that point, maybe it just made more sense. Take the firefight and hope that you could potentially get the last shot in.
Yeah, it's a really difficult decision to make sometimes, because you believe you can make it out, but at the same time, it's too late. Like, once you make that decision, you just have to fully commit to it, because these players all have top tier aim, especially someone like Muzz is just going to absolutely beam you if you're sitting there just taking a firefight. So, is it the right play? Was it the wrong play? I'll leave that up for fate to decide. And looks like at the moment it wasn't the right play, but there also may not have even been a right play to make there, as Shiki having some trouble and dealing with the same exact thing we just saw.
Look, Shiki getting taken out in a cheeky way, getting caught off guard. You see, when you are around these small structures like this, it is so risky. All it takes is a few shots on the wall, and unfortunately, you lose the existing cover. And just like that, Sev losing his cover and unfortunately going to go down as well. But for High Sky and Cam, they both have everything they need to be successful. You see the shield bubble, not only the one out, but the one in High Sky's inventory. So they're ready to continue to play this game out, no matter what direction it goes.
And they will continue to put that pressure on. We see them comfortable taking shots, throwing them back and forth. And now everyone's just trying to figure out which bush everyone's in. Looks like Cam Nuts and High Sky are going right for this bush. Seemingly a solid play for the moment, although there appeared to have been a little bit of a miscommunication as they went in different directions. Nonetheless, we're setting up for a little bit of a battle here as Ace is right on the other side, and Cup and Ace looking right at High Sky. Someone's shield bubble is about to run out, and are we just going to burn another one, or are we going to see this battle happen?
Yeah, I think the battle just comes down to who's going to press forward. You see Cupsy and Ace just deciding to kinetic blade away, especially considering you got Bronos and Oliver OG there up on height. So if you're not careful, you can easily get caught off guard. And smart play here from Ace and Cupsy, probably a bit underrated if you're watching at home and you're wondering, why are they shooting those barriers? Well, that's the only thing truly protecting Oliver OG and Bronos when they're taking shots in that direction. So for Bronos and Oliver, it makes less sense for them to try to take shots on that team versus a team like you see here in Cam just below, because they still have some of that existing cover.
And definitely a smart play to clear that out. Makes it a lot tougher for these guys to just look on over in those directions. And another smart play of that team using the shield bubble on the vehicles to make that rotation in. That's Vortex we're seeing make that rotate. And everyone's positioned themselves near this little castle. Everyone's trying to find their way in, find their little place to hide in, jockey for that position, and soon the battles will begin to take place.
Yeah, you see it now. It's kind of it's up to Volks and Vortex here to not only land some big shots, but to try to take the cover away from this other team, and they do just that, but not at the same time. Vortex ends up going down another team. I believe it's Blake and Bizzle actually end up getting the knock onto the player, so they're going to go ahead and clean that up onto Vortex, and now they go back to play in the cover that they already had kind of set up for them. However, with this zone getting tight, these teams are going to have to figure out something different, because right now, Oliver OG, Bronos, may be set up in the best spot.
Yeah, Blake and Bizzle unknowingly just saved someone's life, but at the same time, they just took the opportunity to get that free elim because those players were completely focused on firing on that team in the other building. So nice little elim, nice little cleanup as well. And now this is one of the more busy end games that we're going to see. Is a lot of buildings here, a lot of bushes, everyone just pushing for that position. And now we're seeing another team that's Muzz and Bully jumping right on to Blake and Bizzle, and not looking good for Muzz and Bully.
It's a tough fight for them to take here at this point, but shield bubble going to make the fight possible. But big shot lands onto Blake. He does exchange there, getting the knock onto Bully. Now, though, they're just holding on by a thread, as Blake, fortunately, going to be able to hit that legendary slurp juice that SPG knows oh so well. But remember, Bully's still knocked. Now, though, they immediately get that pickup as I say it. And for these other teams here left in the lobby, it's just a matter of waiting to see who fights next and what direction these teams decide to go.
This is a tough spot here for Sizz and Degen. They were all by themselves in that bush, multiple teams firing down on them, and now it looks like Sizz is going to make a play, so our Game 1 winners looking to be in a tough spot here as we move in to our third game we're getting to watch here today. That's pretty much due to Bronos and Oliver OG putting that pressure down from up above. Sizz is just trying to stay alive as long as he can, hopefully get a placement point or two more, but that's all but over for him, and now Muzz is looking to do the same inside this building.
Interesting. You see Muzz just kind of hanging out there for a second, despite Quinn and Burt being right there on the wall. It makes you wonder, if Vert and Quinn even knew that Muzz was just chilling there, or if they're like, you know what, you're a solo, you're not really a threat to us. We'll just kind of let you slide here for a few more moments, but not gonna let Source slide as Blake tries to get some shots. Blake immediately taking damage again. This is unfortunate and a bit of a misplay there. If you saw, both using one of their bubbles, which is not the play to make. Source now pushing in, knowing that he had an advantage on the Blake, gets the knock on Abyssal, and now Blake tries to hold on, but no, going down is Source, walking away with 2 quick eliminations here in the final moments of this game.
And Source might have an opportunity to get notched back up if no one jumps on him, and that's actually going to be what the play is right now. Camnuts and High Sky are taking a fight, so they can't get involved in this. Notch could get picked up, but now Camnuts decides to jump in the car. There's shield bubbles, there's the storm, everything is all over the place. And Camnuts is just trying to narrowly stay alive and might have found himself a little corner to hide in at the moment. It's Oliver OG and Bronos' game to lose at this point as they hold the high ground.
High Sky may have a safe spot for a moment, but not for much longer as that zone continues to close in. And with Quinn and Vert just above them, Source also there as well, it's going to be tough for him to rotate. The moment that High Sky comes up on that hill, whether he's using a kinetic blade or something else, he's going to get caught off guard. And you see it already. Oliver OG looking to take shots on the players moving around. And actually, the zone pulls back towards High Sky. So he's actually left safe here as Bronos, Oliver OG, having to dive down off the high ground that they had for so long. But it looks like Vert, caught potentially in the storm, taking a lot of damage, now has to come down. Now is trying to take the shots. It's a story of solo player, High Sky, and unfortunately for him, Bronos and Oliver OG clean it up. From moment one, when we went into that end game there, it was pretty much Oliver OG and Bronos' game to win, and sure enough, they did just that.
Hey, able to take it. I was getting a little nervous. We saw Quinn and Vert go for a play in Storm. Just unfortunately didn't have that right angle to be able to take the shots and fully eliminate them, taking too much storm damage. That wound up being their downfall. And High Sky clutching up a few more placement points there at the end.
Yeah, look, every point counts, right? And so for them to be able to hold on for as long as they did as a solo player, that's the solo impact. As we know, Prodigy loves Alden so much. But when it comes to that solo impact, High Sky definitely did the most as far as points go on the board in that game. But now we dive into another game here as Haji already losing Suscript here to start this one off. And actually not even starting this off. We're in zone 7 here, folks. This game is moving and grooving, and that's just how it goes here in DreamHack San Diego.
Yeah, you love to see that jumping around, all the action. We have that's tough. We have lobbies rolling at all times, and pretty much just players jumping in and out as they get in and out of games, filling up lobbies. So pretty cool to see. We get to jump right into this end game as we're in 7th zone with these players all trying to position themselves. Gonna be another busy end game here as we have a ton of buildings at Slappy Shores.
Interesting. Axe Force has lost Vortexers. We saw after a strong game 1. Unfortunately, game 2 is just not going in their favor. But that's the story of rolling lobbies, because remember, you're not guaranteed to get the same players in each game. And with a few hundred players here competing in San Diego, really it comes down to who you get the luck of the draw. And unfortunately, not a lucky time there for Loki, as Krizix and Lin Game are going to be able to pick them up.
And they seem to be in one of the best positions here. There's nobody on their side. Plus, they have that slurp truck if they need it. So on a rotate, they could definitely include that. Maybe use the blade over to that slurp truck and just take some shots there. But they may be attracting the attention of a wrong team as they have that heavy sniper and clearly know what to do with it. But I don't know that DNA is going to have anywhere to go. And that snipe was his last for this game, as Alex is now trying to make a play himself.
Yeah, tough play for sure. Alex now looking in the distance there onto Lin Game, trying to get some shots. Unfortunately, going to miss some crucial ones, but still in it nonetheless, as he now returns some fire there. Krizix already down low, just trying to groove and make their way in. This is a tough spot to be in. Now with the zones so close to one another, it's going to be tough for any of these players to find the cover that they need to keep it going. But Slappy Shores, of course, providing a lot more than other spots on the map here, as Axe Force is still left as a solo.
And he's just waiting in the shipping container. Hopefully it's not going to be shipped out to sea, and he's going to get that victory at the end of the day. As we see Krizux, Zealand still in such a good position. Being able to own the skies or the top of the buildings, as in this case, pretty much is the play. As long as you can minimize the various different angles that players are able to shoot you from. And we see Alex isn't really putting any pressure on these guys, so they're clearly able just to move around and play this position, as Krizux is now holding the other side of the building, and these two are trying to lock this game down.
With the split positioning that they have right now, this could be the game for them to win. What we saw from Oliver OG and Bronos in the last one, this could be theirs to take. But it really just boils down to who wants it more here in the final moments. While they have a great position, you still got players like Pamstu and Fatch looking for every shot that they can connect. Big shots onto Prospering, not as much onto Merrick, but they still seemingly slide away here, as now Fatch and Pamstu find another victim in Ethan's.
Oh no, down goes Ethan's, and these two have found themselves a nice little corner to play this game out in. This could be exactly what they're looking for. While all the players look to try and fight for these buildings, they're just out here at the soccer courts waiting for everyone else to decide, all right, who's the final team that we get to fight at the end of the day? And Fatch and Pam really in no rush to make a move here, as Zone is not going to force them to move very quickly, and they can stay on this outside. But it looks like Gas Station will be the final fighting point for this game.
Remember, Jackson J and Chris walked away with a game win there not too long ago, and game number 2 looking to potentially make it a back-to-back. But remember here, with eliminations being so valuable, you have to be a little bit more mindful. And for them, they find themselves in 24th as of right now, and that's after having a win and potentially getting a second one.
And it looks like Pam and Fatch are just going to pick them up, use their shield bubble, say thank you very much, we will take this. Jackson, looks like Jackson was going for another play up in the tree, and Crisp is up there as well. So unfortunately for those two, no one's hanging out in the tree this time, and we're all going to be jumping into this gas station here, determining, here come Pamstu and Fatch, can they clean this up? It's Zealand, he's going to be the last one they need to take down, as Krizux gets cleaned up as well, and Fatch and Pam find themselves a nice 8 elimination game with the victory royale.
Beautiful execution from Pamstu and Fatch. This is what we wanted to see from them. A lot of expectations, not only from us to them, but for them for themselves, because Pamstu and Fatch continually hold themselves to the highest standard, as SVG was talking about before. So to see them take a big game like that is great news for us, and hopefully that gets them closer to that top 12 spot there to qualify onto the finals. But we won't know just yet, because these lobbies keep rolling as we continue on. But realistically, there was a lot of great stuff to start this this heat number 2, or heat number 3, I should say, game number 2 in heat 3 for us to watch. But Gun, what's a highlight moment for you?
You just said so many numbers, but I'm gonna go with the highlight being Jackson J sitting pretty in the tree, letting everyone else figure out, okay, here's exactly how we're going to play this game, and then I'm just gonna hang out in this tree, jump on you at the last moment, and take the dub. That's my favorite. What about you?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm gonna be a little biased here. Pamstu Fatch, their win, because I'm a big Pamstu Fatch fan. You know, we've gotten to spend some time with them behind the scenes and see how genuine they are and how dedicated they are to the game. So honestly, that's gonna be my favorite moment. But before we get into even more moments like the ones we just watched, we got to go to a quick break. So make sure to stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
in the heart of an ancient desert. The land of heroes awaits. Prepare yourself. To witness feats you never thought possible. Records will be broken. Legends will be born. And fortunes will be made. The stage is set. the largest esports and gaming festival the world has ever known. Ready or not, here it comes. Gamers 8, the land of heroes.
Listen, I don't know about you all at home, but I want to be involved in Gamers 8. What an incredible hype trailer to get you all at home hyped, but also these players competing for the chance to compete as well hyped. I mean, look, honestly, SPG, my man, we had the opportunity to experience it last year, so I can only imagine how they're continuing to up the levels year over year, prepping for the next festival here in the summer.
Yeah, they said it was going to be at least twice as big as far as prize pool goes. They, I believe, like tripled it. And then the event itself is going to be even better than last year. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully you and I get to cast some Fortnite once again.
Hey, I'd love that. But hey, if you all at home want some more information on it, click the link or check out the link right below here, gamers8.gg. All the information is located there. Not only Fortnite will be happening there, though, tons of different titles. So make sure to check that out for an opportunity to potentially compete in maybe your favorite title outside of Fortnite. So you never know. But we're about to get right back into the games here. As we prepare, though, we got to look at the standings, checking out who's up at the top. And it is Sizz, Lucky, and Degen still up there in day 2.
Already picking up that victory royale early and getting themselves off to a good start. And we can see those elims are quite heavy. Only two teams able to get up there in our top 8 without moving up the leaderboard with a ton of elims. So honestly impressive by Supki and Lame, Bronos and Oliver OG to be playing so consistently, not having to absolutely slay out like some of the other teams. But let's see what our top 12 looks like and where exactly we're standing. And we are moving a little bit slower because I believe we're getting close to that 200-point threshold as we are now getting close to that halfway mark of heat number 3. So does appear it's going to be slightly lower, like Panda Analytics said earlier.
Okay, you know what? Listen, as we keep going further and further into the heats and the final spots begin to get claimed, you see a different pace, right? Again, like we're used to, anytime Europe shows up in these multi-region lands, you definitely see an aggressive start. And sure enough, that's what we saw in heat number 1 and even somewhat in heat number 2. But heat 3 has become a little bit more of a stalemate, similar to what we expect to see in the finals tomorrow. So again, make sure to tune in back for that as well. But honestly, I'm excited to continue this heat number 3 as we go straight back into the games and right into the action. You already see Bully and Muzz picking up 7 eliminations. It's only zone 3, guys.
Look at them go. Okay, these guys are trying to make it into those finals that you were talking about. Finals tomorrow are 12 p.m. local time. That's 12 p.m. PST. Add 3 hours if you're on Eastern time. Add about 7 to 10, depending on where you are in Europe. So make sure you go check it out. Figure out when finals are so you can watch them yourself. Awesome to see all these guys compete. And hopefully we get to see that Bully Muzz, or can I call him Buzzy? Buzz?
You're trying to... I think Mully. I think Mully's the way to go.
Okay.
I think I like that name. But I'm going to be honest with you. We switched over to this fight so quickly that Source didn't even let us come up with a name. How dare you, Source? We wanted to create the perfect Muzz and Bully name, and you just have to go in and continue to get eliminations. Guys, stop being so consistent. What is this? Fortnite?
Yes, this is Fortnite.
Oh, my bad. My bad, Source. Keep doing your thing. More eliminations, please.
It is kind of crazy, though, to see like how well those two are playing today. Definitely expect them to qualify through the day. Right now, they're sitting in 10th, so sitting pretty on pace to be where they need to be. They've been right outside our top 12, and Source and Notch, a solid duo. You already hyped up Source as a solo player, so add him with anyone, I guess, and Notch is just that guy at the moment.
Yeah, he's that guy for the moment, but you know how often that guy shifts here in these games and in this leaderboard because, again, so many talented players here competing in San Diego. for their chance, not only for the finals tomorrow, but for a slot in the Gamers 8 event later this summer. So much up for grabs. With that pressure being on your shoulders, you got to imagine what players like Leo and Fusion are going through.
I would imagine they're probably pretty nervous considering they're crouching through a building right now at Slappy Shores. So I would be nervous too. Definitely not ready for this level of competition, at least speaking about myself. Don't want to say that about anyone else. Slappy Shores, though, is one of the better POIs, and we've seen a couple of crazy plays over at this, and would love to see some blade action jumping on people and cleaning up some of these fights.
Yeah, I think we're going to definitely see that. I mean, the Kinetic Blade in its current state it's probably the most balanced mobility item we've seen in quite some time, in my opinion. Now, obviously, launch pads are great and everything, but with the way the Kinetic Blade plays and the way that the map is situated and how large it's become with the addition to the southeast, it definitely is a great item to see, but you got to talk about it. We got to bring it up. Skips and Vovsky. Quick elims on a team unsuspectedly just running into this building.
Now it's their building. They're going to unsuspectingly wait for somebody else, just sit in this corner, bait an opportunity, and hopefully able to grab some more elims. As we're seeing the battle go on for this floating POI as Alex and DNA are chilling up above, but looks like they don't want to give this over just yet.
Yeah, they just got to stay here, hang out. They have probably the best spot in the area for now. But remember, the zone almost always pulls away from this island. So even though they have a nice spot now, it doesn't mean they're going to be able to keep it. But for Cam, they're finding players off guard. And it's Cupsy and Ace, who we continue to tune in with, having a nice spot, but immediately getting challenged.
And that's why you always shoot a bush. You never want to walk up to a bush and let them get the first shot. Even if it's just like a couple of damage, maybe like 10 or so, that at least lets you know someone is in the bush. And then secondly, most of the time, it's going to scare the team in the bush to make a play. So it's exactly what happened here. We saw some nice plays there by Camnuts, just taking some shots into a bush, checking to see if somebody's in there and forcing them out. Although it looks like Camnuts and co are trying to get a little more aggressive, as they did not decide to stay in that bush. They're walking over towards Slappy Shores.
Yeah, remember, we saw it in game here in Slappy. While I don't know that we'll see another one, it's still very, very possible. With as many structures that exist here in Slappy, it makes it probably one of the better spots to end a game of zero build, because it just makes it that much more stacked there in the final moments. But for Degenus is lucky. They're already positioned, ready to go, waiting patiently. They just want a team like a Camnuts and a High Sky to just come into range. Because sure enough, if they get an opportunity to strike, they're going to take it.
Yeah, I wonder if we will get the end game here. If you had to guess, do you think we get a Slappy Shores end game, or are we going elsewhere?
Good question. I'm going to be honest. I don't think it goes Slappy. I think it begins to go a little bit more north into the snowy area. And so that's where I could see this one finishing out here. And you see a lot of these players beginning to mark that northern area because they probably realize that could be the direction that it's going to go in. So for some of these players still in this, some of the people still trying to hold on, they are going to start moving for early position. But, of course, it is Loki and Ethan's. Loki fans rise, chat, because I see you all in there rooting this man on, and for good reason, as he's looking to capitalize here on this game of Lobby 1.
Yeah, they have a great opportunity to lock it down here. As lots of those teams that are southward are going to be forced to make this rotation. Ethan and Loki are going to be one of them themselves, but they have a great position where it shouldn't be a problem. They should just be able to move through this area, and we see pressure goes on to Vortexers and Axe Force on the rotate, but nonetheless, able to survive, able to get through with minimal damage. These guys should be okay. Just continue to move through this area and maybe even get a few heals to get them max HP is what you're looking for. I'd be surprised to see this team not make it to the top 5 here because they are one of the best teams remaining.
One of, but not the only one, because so many incredibly talented players are in it, and Clips actually ends up going down here, caught off guard by a player there in the bush and another player just above. And of course, Sab just going to disengage here, trying to stay alive, hoping that he can potentially get his teammate back into it, but he needs to be careful with the overshield depleted here quite a bit. He just needs to remain patient.
Patience will do you well in this game. You just need to understand what you're playing patiently for. As we see, teams have already identified a couple of players on the roof, not going to let them get through easily. Sabortian, Ethans, and Loki all have the same challenge ahead. Now, Sab down below, just patiently waiting for the players up above before he makes his move. And then he has to hope, okay, no one knows I'm in here. I'm going to just walk in. I should be all right. And at the moment, it looks like this is going to pay off.
For the time being, it works out in his favor, but you know how quickly things can change here in a zero build game of Fortnite, because genuinely, these are the most chaotic, reminiscent of the Chapter 1 days are these moments that we get to watch unfold. And sure enough, here's more chaos to come as that zone does pull north, like we talked about before. And Jack is Godly and Rotten Twinkies, one of those zero build diehards, still in this lobby here for the moment, for the time being. But with Degen and Sizlucky also here, it's going to be a tough one to fight, as Source now paying the price of Degen. He immediately jumps in there, gets the elimination on the Source, and now potentially can get his boy Sizlucky back into this one.
It's going to be a weird zone to play too. Degen and Sizz will have some time to figure this out before they have to make this rotate, but it's going to be one of those pretty open areas, not a ton of buildings that everyone's going to be able to hide behind that we've seen in the past couple of games to allow players to have a little bit of freedom to play from within a building. Now it's all going to be down to those positions, the way you make your rotates, and honestly, what you have in your inventory.
Inventory definitely is one of the biggest factors here in today's games. I mean, to be real with you, it seems like the players that have the mold kind of set for what zero build should be, like Sod's here, holding that purple Maven, which we know is a powerhouse weapon here in zero build. It just shows the understanding of some of these people who have made their way to San Diego to compete in this competition. So I'm curious, right? If you SPG had to pick an ideal loadout, top to bottom, color variation, everything, what are you picking and why?
Okay, so we'll go Mythic everything. I'm doing the Pulse Rifle for my AR because it's the best weapon in the game. And then I'm doing the Mythic Havoc Pump Shotgun because it's the best shotgun in the game. Then I'm going to do a Kinetic Blade. That way I have some movement. I'm going to have 2 shield bubbles. And then I'm going to have 2 legendary slurp juices. Now, it could be legendary slurp juices or 6 chug splashes. I'm not going to be super picky about the heals because more often than not, you don't necessarily have time to heal when you're getting shot at unless you throw down one of those shield bubbles. So, what about you? Give me your ideal loadout.
So I'm going to switch it up a little bit on you, and
Okay.
solely because for me, when I play zero build, I'm trying to create some separation, right? I don't like to be too close into the face of the other team. So for me, it's going to be from the start, legendary Maven shotgun. I know, bit of a different pace to what you're doing with the Havoc, but then of course going the same route with the Mythic Pulse Rifle. Have to have that in the inventory. Then 2 shield bubbles, Kinetic Blade, and the 2 legendary slurp juices. That's just me. But unfortunately for DNA, he didn't have some of those slurp juices because he just got taken out of the sky here, and he's wishing he had them now as Rotten Twinkies and Jack just jumping in, getting huge shots onto his teammate as well there. Alex just basically getting away just by the skin of his teeth here. But so many players still looming close by as well as an NPC, so he needs to be careful.
I think that's the first NPC that we've seen be hired by a team. It's interesting that we haven't seen that more often. Not because it's like the NPC is going to be crazy good and going to get you a ton of elims, but when you're rotating out in the open, players don't necessarily know which player is going to be the actual player versus the NPC. And even if it's just like 2 AR shots that you get to avoid, that's a huge win.
Well, not only that, I will say another advantage to the NPCs is they will pick up your teammate. So they can get a res for you if you're in a position like this, for example. Panda's down. Boston needs to apply cover to try to get his teammate back into the game. And sure enough, an NPC would be able to pick Panda up in that situation. But it really depends on the team that you're going up against, too, because players like Sods and Yeet, if they get a knock, they're just going to make sure to follow through. Another benefit to the NPCs, I got to see this yesterday in Heat number 2 with Jacob and Reflections. And honestly, that's the first time that we really got to see it play out. And it was the NPC actually ended up getting the last shot onto an unsuspecting player. So fortunately for them, they were able to walk away with an additional elimination, all because they hired an NPC.
Bro, you hate people that do that steal your elims. Come on, man. What's that NPC doing? I worked hard to get all 99 total damage, and now somebody just steals it. Like, I hate that.
I know, but it's fortunate for them because those 3 points still went onto their leaderboard. But for Vortexers and Axe Force, wait, they're in 5th place right now.
Yeah, they're balling out.
A win here could easily skyrocket them into the first place spot, which is currently held by the boys, Epic Whale and Reed.
Talk about a caster curse, though. As you say, if they win this game, they get bopped by a shotgun and get sent back to the lobby. So,
I blame you. Why'd you say that, SBG? I can't believe you've done this. But honestly, for Sods and Yeet, they're still in it. And Sizz Lucky Djinn, another team who already are in the top 5 of the leaderboard and looking to hold on here in the final moments. 6 eliminations here in this game. A big, obviously, game 1 that we got to watch there with their win. But could they go for another one? That's the question we're going to see answered here in the next few moments as these teams are just trying to survive and hold on for the next few moments.
This is a more difficult position for them to be in, though. They have no more utility in this game. So they saw a player, used him, threw down his shield bubble. They're like, all right, cool, we'll take that for a second. Now another team right in front of them throws down a shield bubble. So that's huge for these guys. They may not have the utility, but whatever they're doing is just forcing players to use that utility themselves and then play around it.
I mean, playing the utility where they can is definitely going to be the play. Remember, the Kinetic Blade, obviously the strongest utility item here in the game so far, but this is the exact reason why. You see Sizz Lucky going up, big shots rated through. Ooh. Sizz and Djinn are out of this one as Yeet and Sods clean them up in the final 2v2 of the day. Here goes nothing. Yeet with 10 elimination can't do enough to hold on as Super Moose and Presence walk away with that win.
What a game. And we see, again, all that chaos is just forced right there at the end of the match. And, hey, Super Moose capitalizing on the chaos, hitting those final shots, able to get that last elim and clutch up that victory royale.
Yeah, and a clutch up indeed that was. But look, that's just a little bit, a taste of the action we're getting to watch because these games continue to move forward. So I can only imagine the players we get to watch here in the next rolling lobby. Because remember, folks, these lobbies are continuing to move. There's no stopping. There's no slowing down. We keep bringing you the action.
No hesitation here, straight into a fight in another game. It's Pamstu, it's Fatch. We've seen these two play super well, and it's Bear going down. He's on the wrong end of that shotgun, but Pamstu and Fatch, 2 more elims, 6 more points. And, you know, maybe we'll call it a couple more placement points because I would imagine they get that as well. So, nice little play by them. These two working their way up the leaderboards.
Yeah, I mean, look, every game counts here. Remember, while the top 5 games of your performance will be the ones that count towards your spot on the leaderboard, you never know how one game can be better than the next. So for teams like Bad Connection and Talent Z, who aren't necessarily on top of the leaderboard and might be having a bad game right now, it doesn't mean it's going to last, as they still have so many opportunities to get a solid game and climb that leaderboard.
What a terrible spot to be in between Pablo, Bevies, and it looks like that was Agers over there. And there's another team in Storm taking shot, or in zone. Yeah, Mega and Knifer taking shots at them as well. So Unfortunately, wrong place, wrong time. Just got caught in the middle of 3 separate teams there. And Bevies and Pablo, they're like, all right, cool. We'll take this opportunity. We'll use this vehicle, get on out of here. Zone's coming. Now it's time to make our rotations through. And this game, going into one of the newer areas of the map over towards that new POI that we're looking in. And we're going to see how Knifer and Mega can navigate that position.
When it comes to the mindset of a player and thinking about how they put themselves in certain positions and what they do, the highest quality mindset comes from players like Mega and Knifer, who have been in these positions time and time again, who understand what they need to do to put the points on the board. And I can only imagine what's going through their head now as they still survive in this game, but so many other big players surviving as well. You see Volks and Vortex down there. We obviously saw Quinn and Vert. We see Fly and Andriana. So many players still in it, just trying to make something happen here in the final moments of this game as Zone 6 gets ready to close on in, and these players need to start moving.
It looks like Mega City will not be the location that we get to end this one at. We're going over towards Steamy Springs. Everyone's going to have to make that rotation over, and because we're all up in the buildings at Mega City, there's going to be a massive wave of players that just come flying in, trying to pick out, okay, here's what I think might be some good positioning, but it's honestly going to be very difficult for everyone to figure this out because there's not much to hide around in this next zone.
Remember, with rolling lobbies and unlimited games being able to play within that time, it's all about the time. And sure enough, right now, Heat 3 closes in 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 10 seconds. Thank you to the production behind the scenes, Connor specifically making that happen. Beautiful little graphic there to keep us in the loop, because otherwise we would just be basing it off the games that we've seen thus far, because realistically it's all about the time and not necessarily about the games played.
And it is great to know how much time is left in these heats. That way, if you're a player, you can play around that. Or if you're just watching, trying to figure out, okay, I need to make dinner or I need to go ahead and take my dog out. Well, now you know. You got about an hour and a half left. And that's all thanks to Connor.
Yeah, we appreciate you behind the scenes. Listen, the unsung heroes of the broadcast world are the people behind the scenes. So thank you guys for making it happen and making it amazing for us and the people at home. But also making it amazing is Volks and Vortex still in this one here. 2 eliminations. Not necessarily the most aggressive team on the day, but one that remains consistent through the first few games they played.
And now we see just holding this high ground position, locking it down. Vortex almost jumps on out, and Volks is like, yo, bro, chill, relax. We gotta calm down here. But looks like Oliver and Bronos having a really solid heat number 3. Not able to qualify in the first 2, but you can't really ask for a better loadout than what these 2 are currently working with. And looks like Voltex. Oh, that's a great combination of their names right there. Nonetheless, they did decide to make a move here and looking really hurt at the moment.
Yeah, tough spot here for them. What was seemingly a really solid game for them immediately takes a turn, but that's how it goes here in Zero Build. There is no guarantees, no protection, and no set of games where you can feel safe, because everything can change there in a moment. Sure enough, that's what happened as Vortex completely out, because Prospering and Merrick deciding to make the push. Sure enough, they get that full elimination and the refresh there on to Vortex, but Volks can still make something of this game as a solo. We saw it happen a few times here today and yesterday, so they're not out quite yet.
Definitely not, and they're going to be looking to make plays. Looks like Pablo's getting some pressure from up above and absolutely gets deleted by Peacock right there. Now they're going to have to refigure this out, and looks like Fatch is now all by himself. No Pam Stew to help with him, or if he is, he's somewhere around the map. And just based on the color of arrows, I don't think Pam Stew is in this game any longer. And we're definitely seeing some more stacked games today than we did yesterday. I'm going to say that a couple of times, probably say it a couple more, as the game's pacing has really changed from what we've seen yesterday. These end games are much more difficult to find yourself in the right position in order to win. There's now 4 or 5 teams that are all jumping onto the same little point on the map in order to determine whether or not you're going to be able to win.
And I mean, look at the quality of player here in this game. You got Fatch, Clarity G, Casker, Bronos. You also have Kanata Agers. You got Faither here in this game. Like, this is literally some of the top tier talent across all of Fortnite competing in the final moments of this game. So if you're any of them, it really comes down to who makes the right plays at the right time and who has the best resources. And obviously we know just as much as anybody, those kinetic blades are going to be important and those shield bubbles are going to be important. As Vert now pushing forward, does look like they're going to try to take the fight. They hear the fight happening with Bronos and immediately start to press on. And with it being on a height position, it's going to be tougher for some of these other teams to get involved. And sure enough, Vert going to be able to clean it up as Bronos and Oliver are going to be out. Vert now just wants to get the heal onto Quinn, but it's not going to work out as Clarity and Casker immediately trying to engage. And this is what we're talking about here. Every time you're in a zero build situation like this, you're on zone 7 and on. When a fight takes place, every team then wants to get involved. It's almost riskier to take a fight than it is to just wait and hope that somebody else makes that mistake for you or makes that decision for you, because as soon as these fights commence, basically the game ends within a minute.
Yeah, it's a great point. Everyone simply just trying to slow it down, force somebody to fight another team. Just do whatever you can. Be like, yo, I am not the team you want to fight. I don't know what it is. Just look like a team you don't want to fight. Maybe that's just taking shots back, but Casker and Clarity G firing back and forth with Agers and Kanata over there. And Agers and Kanata just sitting there tanking Storm. There's not too much they could do. Luckily, they do have that legendary slurp juice going, as well as the chug cannon. So HP is not a problem. What is a problem is they're running out of space and they're taking some shots here. Kanata able to get one knock, and that could be the play of the game here if they're able to get a nice little refresh and some more shield bubbles.
Yeah, I mean, look, every refresh is going to count here, especially considering you see Kanata not having too much, and Kanata goes down. Agers immediately following his Clarity G and Casker pick them up, and then they find Vert. Now it comes down to a 1v2 against Mega, and it doesn't matter. Clarity doesn't miss, Casker doesn't miss, and they walk away with a sweet, sweet victory royale.
That's exactly what you're looking for. And playing that perfectly, allowing the other teams to have that chaos down below, putting pressure on to Kanata and Agers, be like, hey, you guys fight somebody else. We're locking down this high ground. And then at the right moment, transferring to the other side of the zone. And then now all you have to do is clean up a couple of solos, which 2 players of their caliber easily able to do.
And you saw with just a few solid shots, and that's kind of the name of the game here, is who hits the better shots in those fights that are even, and then of course the ones that aren't so even, which we typically see there towards the end, a solo versus a full duo. You kind of know how it's going to end. It really doesn't end any other way unless you're Source, because we did see a nice clean 1v2 from Source earlier. But regardless, these games are continuing to show how close this competition is going to be here in day 2.
Yeah, and we just talked about Connor doing some of the amazing production. We got B-Mick on replays showing us all the action going on. It's absolutely fuego coming out of the replay section. We're seeing so many elims, so much of the action so quickly, and you love to see it. It's a quick little recap of what this tournament looked like, and pretty much showing us why the leaderboards are like they are.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the crew that helps put this together are as talented as these players. But I mean, these players are pretty talented, to be fair, especially what we're seeing here now, because we're about to the halfway mark, roughly. We're just over the halfway mark, I should say, with just roughly about hour and a half left here in this competition. It can go any way, and with the way that the standings are playing out, there's been a lot of change-ups at the top. Because again, remember, only the best 5 games for each team played are the ones that are going to count. So we'll see how this continues to play out here after this. But we got to go to a quick break for you all. So go grab yourself some popcorn, grab some water, stay hydrated, and we'll be right back. Guess who's back? We're back.
again. Oh, we're not.
we are
Okay.
we are back here at the DreamHack Open in San Diego. You already know this is all featuring Fortnite, and it has been an incredible day number 2, heat number 3, and one more heat to follow to see who goes on to the finals tomorrow. I mean, look, there's so much on the line. This is probably the biggest qualifier in Fortnite history. We talk about, obviously, the qualifying moments in the World Cup and qualifying onto the FNCS Global Championships at the end of the year. But how often do you see a qualifier from an in-person event there in San Diego with a $250,000 prize pool and all this incredible zero build action from some of the top players across the world?
Well, I can tell you how often. We're going to see it 2 more times after this. We're going to
True.
see it at Dallas, and we're going to see it in Sweden. So if you're wondering how often this is going to happen, we got 2 more full DreamHack Opens, and we get to see all these players go after it. I mean, we were talking this entire time of like, who's going to be at all 3? If you qualify, are you going to go to the next one? Hopefully, we only get to see these things get better and better as there's more and more time for these players to prepare. I want Dallas to be even more stacked, Sweden to be the most stacked, and then obviously the biggest event is going to be the most stacked.
Well, let's take a look at these standings and see who might not have to compete in the other ones, even though they might still do it anyways. Epic Whale and Reet up at the top of the leaderboards, 268 points. A really, really solid start here for them as they compete here today. Remember, this is going to be the best of 5 games, and Reet and Epic Whale have only played 4. So if they have a really, really strong 5th game, that could mean they easily solidify one of these top 12 spots.
And we're probably looking at about 100 or so more points for all these teams. Based on what we've seen the previous heats, it's going to be somewhere over 300. I'm not a statistician. I'm going to guess somewhere around like the 320, 330 range, although it could be slightly higher than that as it's been in the past couple of heats. So 100 more points, that isn't impossible, but also is going to get harder as more and more players continue to play what appears to be passive as we've continued to go through these heats.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of an interesting change of pace from what we saw in heat number 1, and I'm curious how that's going to continue into heat number 4 as well, because some of these players will be able to qualify on, but a lot of them will still have to compete for the final opportunities in heat 4. So I'm curious how it's going to continue to play out, but don't worry, because the coverage will be here for you. It won't be us. It'll actually be Jacob PR and Caster Lash, who 2 incredible people. I can't wait for you guys to see what they do, but it's time for us here right now, live and ready to go as we prepare for another game of Fortnite action.
All right, hold up. We need to talk about Caster Lash is going to make his DreamHack debut. And
Yeah.
my man is one of, if not the most deserving people. Caster Lash going to come in hot, lay down some super hot fuego lines on you guys, and bring all of the energy. So make sure if you're here and you like Fortnite, or if you don't like Fortnite, you somehow made it to this channel. So I'm proud of you. Nonetheless, be here for Caster Lash making his DreamHack debut, because my man is going to crush it.
No, 100%. And it's funny because yesterday was Jacob PR's DreamHack debut, as well as Reflections. And then, of course, Lash making his debut today here in heat number 4. So many incredibly talented people from the scene making their DreamHack debut here for the first of many incredible qualifying opportunities over to Gamers 8. So you can't ask for a better way to get involved in the DreamHack scene.
Definitely not. It's been a fun time getting to cast with you. I know that we've done this once or twice before, but nonetheless, still our debut together for DreamHack San Diego. It's something like that, right?
You know, I mean, it's like we may have done Gamers 8 together, and we've done some DreamHacks together, and you know, we may or may not have done a little thing called FNCS in the same play. I mean, look, we've done a lot, but it's always good to come back here to these in my opinion, the grassroots of what makes this community great. From the memories of DreamHack Anaheim, watching Mr. Savage win that one, to Atlanta, seeing Bolts take it, Dallas. I mean, these events truly are a staple for the Fortnite scene. So to see them continue to get elevated year over year is always exciting.
Definitely. And it looks like it's on the rise. Is this year has been better than last year, and it seems like year after year we just continue to see more improvements in the scene, more consistencies, and other people getting involved. So you love as a fan of Fortnite to see all the various games, tournaments getting involved, and DreamHack's been one of those day ones, pretty much from the beginning, always supporting the competitive scene. So no surprise to see them here once again with their huge lineup of tournaments and festivals throughout the world. Always going to be including Fortnite.
I mean, look, it's the biggest gaming festival, period. End of story. We saw it unfold last year, and now 3 times the prize pool. I can only imagine 3 times the entertainment and excitement around the event too. So I'm super pumped to see what Gamers 8 is going to turn into here starting in July. So not too far away here, folks. And that's why we see these players competing for the first opportunities and the first qualifying spots onto such an incredible event. But for Vibe and Rip Rara, they have not necessarily been finding their stride here in day 1, but in day 2 could be a very, very different story for them. As Rip Rara does tend to compete in quite a few zero build events. She has a very, very good understanding of playing the game, but when you're competing against some of the best, it becomes a little bit tough. But they are top 50 right now.
All right, Pan, I'm going to ask you a very difficult question.
Lay it on me.
Way too early predictions for who wins the Gamers 8. Now, I won't hold you to this, and we literally only have the people that have qualified through the first couple of heats, so we have no idea who that's going to be. But if you had to pick, who's it going to be?
You know, this is genuinely one of the tougher questions, but I'm going to say without a doubt, no hesitation, the team that's going to win is, of course...
There's some hesitation.
Yep, that's the team. That's the team that's going to win. So I can't wait to see them win it, too. So just make sure to come back to this. Behind the scenes, they're telling me I need to say Queasy and Vino, and actually it's not that. That's not who I think's going to win. I actually think Epic Whale and Reet are going to do it. I definitely do. Or we see an Epic Whale Malibuca return. That would be an exciting one because we saw them win Gamers 8 last year. So to see them do it back-to-back would be pretty cool as well.
Yeah, I wonder. Could they play together? Maybe I don't know. That would be really interesting to see Malibuca and Epic Whale get together again. So, yeah, I like it. I like it. The script tells me that it's going to be Queasy and Vino, but, you know, script writers aren't doing their best nowadays, so it's tough. You gotta keep choosing different things and picking different teams, and who knows? I mean, you gotta qualify first. You just gotta figure it out. And Panda, I'll give you the go-ahead. I'll let that pass. You go ahead and decide later on who is actually going to win. But I like it. I like it. Lots of options there and lots of potential because we have so many great teams that play this game, and it's a tough one. Now, again, back to what's going on here. We once again see the medic playing a little part. It's DNA and Alex DNA locking it down. We've pretty consistently seen these two on top of the moving POI, the floating POI that appears, likely landing somewhere in the middle, allowing themselves to get some quick rotations. The other team, though, Sizz, Degen, moving along, getting their position too, because they already have one mythic. They're looking to grab the other mythic, and I think Sizz picking up that SMG tells me they're going to try and make a play on top of this island. They don't necessarily just want one mythic weapon, and Degen's actually choosing to go with that combat shotgun over the Havoc. And I don't see... Looks like, unfortunately for Alex and DNA, they know there's a player down below, so they're really taking this slow. Sizz, Degen, they don't really know that the team above them isn't taking full advantage of this, so nobody's capturing this capture point, and zone is moving regardless of if these guys are sitting here or not. So somebody has to make a play for this eventually. And Alex is going to try and put some pressure down. This is a nice play to know that you can shoot all the way down through those floors to see what's going on down there, but not necessarily the only play you can make. Somebody's got to do something. It looks like Tiger Aura and Fletch down below looking to make their own play, seeing that there are players in this house, and they'll walk up in here. Hopefully, not surprising to find a player in a corner. The battle is continuing, though, in that house. We see players down below, and we also have the house up above. Players sitting here waiting, trying to get in to that capture point. Who knows if they're going to be able to actually take advantage of it. We may not see the pulse rifle in this game because of that. Everyone's just sitting back, waiting for somebody else to make the play, and no aggressive plays to be made in this zone. Now,
I'm surprised. I'm going to be honest. I'm surprised. You see, there's actually players still fighting for the potential opportunity to get that pulse rifle, and it's so valuable. I would probably do it as well, depending on how many heals, of course, they have. But it'll be interesting to see if they can even make it out here following getting that pulse rifle, because it might just be special delivery. And I'll be real with you. Taigaru, Fletch, a team we haven't got to see too much of. I'm calling it now. They win this game.
Respect. I'm calling it now.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
I'm calling it now. They win this game.
See, that's what I'm saying, man. We're on the same wavelength. I love it. We're both saying that Tigura and Fletch are better than Queasy Vino. I'm saying it now, guys. They are going to win it.
That.
Oh, they're winning the finals.
Nope, didn't say that.
That's what SPG said. And, you know, I am, of course, a big fan of SPG. And if he says it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But what's also happening, what is going on, guys? Look, I said it's definitely worth getting the pulse rifle to some extent. But you guys have been in here like 30 minutes.
Hey, they're just waiting, man. Patience is a virtue, right? And we see DGen, Sizz, their patience is running out. Alex and DNA have a little more patience than the other squad, but looks like everyone's going to be able to get out of here. Alex and DNA luckily know that they're going to have some slurps that will drop on them, so they don't really have to play this out. DGen, though, going to go down with Sizz Lucky, so that does not bode well for our other team that's going to need to make the pretty much same exact rotate out of Storm into the safe area.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for them to move. And, I mean, we kind of knew this going into it. As soon as you saw them kind of lingering in the Storm, you knew it was going to be a tough day for them to continue on. But fortunately, though, they should be able to at least start moving here a little bit. But now that Storm's starting to tick away at the health just a little bit more than it was before. So their decision to start moving has to happen now because they cannot afford to do it. But sure enough, they do have some slurp juices. But honestly, you kind of want to save those. Am I right?
You might be right. I don't really know.
I'll take it.
Sometimes, you know, you got to use it before you lose it. And I am a person that way too often goes down with the best loot in the game because I didn't wind up actually using it. So, you know, these guys are probably better than me. I would say don't use it yet.
Don't use it yet. You know what? I'm going to agree with you. I am going to agree. But one thing we can agree on is Shiki needing a big game here. Following the previous game, last time we tuned in with Shiki, unfortunately going down in a mid-game engagement that they just were not anticipating having to take. But now they're looking to turn it around, just like Hector and Kirby also looking to turn it around, getting a knock there onto the player, but not over-engaging. Super smart considering the position that they have, and now they just opt to go ahead and go for the bush.
And that's the other team that had to make it off the island. So neither team, doesn't matter how patient you were, having any success getting off the floating island with any of the loot, doesn't matter what you had, right? You could have the best weapons in the game, but as soon as you go down, you get beamed. Doesn't really matter what's in your inventory. So tough little play there. I think both teams kind of wishing they played that differently. Too late now. A team that's hoping that it plays out differently is going to be Chimp because he's getting sent back to the lobby. And this is Source and Notch. They're playing aggressive today, and these two seem to be unstoppable.
Yeah, they are unstoppable for sure. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. To be honest with you, though, it's going to be a close one here in this competition. As we switch over, it is out trumped an American Dad, one of the crowd favorites for sure. You already know this team picking it up, and that's Volks and Vortex gonna go down as American Dad and out trumped outlive just a moment longer.
Pro player? Question mark. Did we just see the next FNCS winners in out trumped an American Dad? Oh, maybe not. Veggie coming in with a vengeance.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's I didn't say anything. I swear they are. I don't know. It's dude.
Yeah, that was you. I'm gonna blame you for that one.
Yep.
You may or may not have cursed him in that situation, but sure enough, though, Venji and Chicken still hanging out, doing some big things. American Dad still holding on though, so he's not necessarily down and out quite yet.
Not down. Might be slightly out of it, but hey, you're one refresh away from the best loot of your life, right? That's what they say. And we see Sev and Shiki just waiting for an opportunity to try and get one of those refreshes. As they seem to be rocking the lone bush still left in the zone, and we know pressure will start to come through as Hector and Kirby start taking those shots, clearing out those bushes, and the shots come flying right back. There is a Leo hiding in the building, silently waiting. The shot goes through. Hector gets the tag. Leo gets some shots back, and looks like the building has been won by Hector and co. for the moment.
Yeah, they're doing a good job of just maintaining a pretty solid position here in the corner of the building. And with so many teams lingering close by, you more or less don't want to take any shots. You don't want to cause any unnecessary attention in your direction, because sure enough, things like this begin to happen. And it's Sev and Shiki realizing that they're potentially there and looking for the shot where they can, but they continually expose themselves for just a moment, and all it takes is one big shot to start the fight. And there you go. You see the overshield starting to tick away there onto, I believe it was Kirby that ended up losing some of that overshield. So now the fight begins as Sev and Shiki look to just get involved. But of course, teams like Notch, already hearing the fight take place, they said, you know what? We're not going to let you have all the fun by yourselves. We're going to get in there too.
Oh boy, this is a shotgun stare down. Hopefully that came through the mic as well as I did whistle it. Shiki goes in, takes the shot. He begins the engagement. Big shots coming through, but he's not going to end it. Grizzux will end all this, and this is going to be the end of the game. Jump after jump. It's Venji and Chicken on the outside, and your call of Fletch and Tiger may be the right play here.
Yeah, it might be the right play here for the time being. We see them still in this one. The zone, though, closing. And it looks like it is going to close in the direction of Venji and Chicken. So, Tigeru Fletch just going to have to use as much of the bamboo as possible. Panda's favorite food here, keeping them alive and protected here. And with just a few moments remaining, Chicken and Venji just trying to catch this solo off guard. It is Zaya just trying to hold on, and no, goes down to Chicken, and now the 2v2 begins.
The battle comes through. Fletch hits the shots, and Panda calls it 4 zones ago. Fletch and Tiger Aura able to take the dub here in this match. What a game from them. Panda, what did you see from these guys? Like, what's going on in that big brain?
Well, SPG, I'm going to be honest here. Listen, I may or may not be the prediction champion. Period. End of story. You can ask Kelly Link. You already know. I was the one to call the dethroning of Epic Whale, Arkrum, and Rex back in the day when, of course, Reet came through and clutched it up there with Snacky Fabs. Look, there's so much to pay close attention to. And I'll be honest, right now, I feel like I'm on a roll. Both my prediction from yesterday qualified through heat number 2. Now today, we're picking a team, and they're winning a game. You know what? This might be, the Panda stocks might be up this week.
Good old stonks for Panda right there. Love to see it. Can you tell me I'm going to win the lottery, please?
Hey, you know what? You can't win if you don't try. That's what I like to say. And And fortunately for Bevies and Pablo, they're going to be trying their hardest here, as there's only 1 hour remaining until Heat 3 closes here, folks. So remember, these are rolling games to the next hour. So for them, they need to make sure these next games count, because these are the final opportunities for them to do some big things here. But I'll be honest, here, you see it playing out. Pablo, Bevies have a nice spot here in Frenzy Field, but I have a feeling they're going to have to move soon.
They will, but I think they just want to hold this for as long as they can. Lock it down on the edge of zone here, and then clean up anybody on this side. So you get a quick little scout, you see what's going on here, and then once zone forces everybody to move, you play backside. That way you keep everything in front of you. You know, it's like playing baseball. Keep everything in front of you, makes the game easy.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to be real with you here. Bevies and Pablo, while they didn't necessarily have the strongest day one, they were still within contention for a majority of the day. So I'm going to say it now. Looking at the Unite leaderboard, looking at where they sit right now, they're in 18th place. I'm going to call it. They finish. They finish in the top 12 here in Heat 3.
7th place. That's where they qualify.
I like the specifics.
349 points. Are we going too far with that one? Probably.
I'm curious. That would be... Listen, I know we're kind of talented. You know, we might know a thing or two, but if you get that correct, I'm taking you to a steak dinner.
Ooh, how about barbecue? I'd prefer some barbecue.
Well, you already know that's kind of where we live, so we'll take it. But for Pablo and Bevies, 10 points or 10 eliminations here, huge. If you know 3 points per elimination, that means 30 total points in eliminations alone. That's basically half a win.
That's true. That's some good maths right there. And hopefully they're able to close this one out. We've seen them slay out in a couple of games and not necessarily be able to capitalize on that win. So they drop, let's say, 20 bomb plus a victory royale. Pretty much almost guaranteed a qual at this point.
Yeah, they're guaranteed to be close. I thought there were some guarantees yesterday, and of course things changed in the final moments. But a team that is looking to guarantee a spot, it's Trey and Statics. Definitely a duo that honestly is underrated. Let me tell you something about Trey here. He's one of the most active creators in the Fortnite scene. He plays almost every event you can imagine. And of course, to no surprise, he's here competing on the big stage in San Diego.
Nice. Yeah, Trey, pretty consistently performing within FNCS. Hope to see him up there once again, and love to see him qualify through to the finals on Sunday. We'll see if he can make it happen. First, has to win this game, or at least has to play this game about as well as he can. And now we see Floppy Swift running around trying to stay alive. They're getting pressured here. That's Mega and Knifer jumping in. They chose one opponent, and that's going to be Swift and Knifer. But Pablo is going to be the one on top of this. They're continuing to put pressure on. Ooh. Everybody's getting the shots. Oh my goodness. Pablo doesn't even know how to shoot at this point, and he's going to wind up just walking away with all of them.
I'm going to be real. The excitement got to Pablo there for a second, and that's why he threw 2 shield bubbles down. But look, honestly, a win's a win, and he definitely won that moment here in this game. And that's a lot of loot to choose from. Now, seeing what they can do next here, the next 45 minutes, it really kind of comes down to how well they use this time, because this is their 7th game here, SBG. The one that we're watching right now is Bevy and Pablo's 7th game, which means they still have a few more titles that they could put up in their points, but they're already 18th with 5 of their top games played.
Yeah, likely there's going to be a couple of those where they went down early, so they should easily be able to bump that low 3, 4, 5 games up. I would have to guess, regardless of where they finish this game, with all the elims they've been picking up, this is going to be one of their top 5 regardless, even though we're only top 7 teams. They've just got another elim. They're probably getting at least top 5 here, if not getting that dub. And I mean, we'll see. It's been a solid game for these guys, and all it takes is a couple of consistent ones.
Yeah, I mean, just a little bit of consistency here to finish off the day, and we have some major teams qualifying. Anon and Jace, though, one of those teams that were so close yesterday, looking to qualify today. They're in 8th place as of right now, which is huge for them. But that's 8th place with 7 games played, so they're top 5, leading them in the top 10 spot. Curious enough, though, this is easily one of their top 5 games. I'm looking at it right now, and if they finish this strong, this could solidify their qualifying spot.
Okay. Already 12 elims. Looks like we're on the brink of a top 5 performance as well. They will be one of the teams forced to move, but it does look like the team that was holding them for the time being also moved as well. So Jason and Anon not really going to be worried about that movement. We do see Faith making his own rotation through, as they're just trying to stay out of the sights here of what is this absolutely terror of a combo of Pablo and Bevies, and they are about to get the sauce. Bevies goes in, he goes down. Pablo's going to clean that one up, and Bevies now, luckily enough, going to get a moment, and it doesn't look like anyone's going to be able to jump on them just yet because Knifer's fighting on the other side of the zone. We are in a top 5 now.
A top 5 here. This is going to be an interesting finish. I'm going to be real with you. With a lot of the fights going on there in the distance, Knifer might be able to just slip on through, depending on how this plays out, because Jason and Anon here, they just picked up a few more eliminations, and with Flappy, a solo just hiding too close by, either Flappy or the other solo, Knifer, hanging out there in the distance, could walk away with it, depending on how they play it, but we'll see.
Yeah, and it looks like Bevies and Pablo go down there before they can get in that top 3. Still, 4th place going to be pretty solid for them. Jason and Anon made that nice rotate at the correct time. We do see Jace looking, trying to find those final players. Can they find Knifer behind that little wall? And no, they're looking, going to grab the best position in the game here. They've pretty much cleared out everything behind them and just going to start firing away, clearing out all of these builds.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best way to play this out, is clear the cover and hope that you can catch one of these solo players out. But now the fights are ensuing. You see Knifer going up against Flappy. Now it's a 2v1. Will Knifer be able to hold on as Jace and Anon just hunting for the final elimination here in this game? And Knifer, unfortunately, looks to be going down as Jace cleans it up here in the final seconds.
Gotta give my respect to Knifer. Getting that 2nd place there, that was really the only play he could make. He didn't necessarily have the chance to 2v1 2 players with those pulse rifles, especially when they're fully healthy. So go ahead, take the points that you can get, identify where that solo is, get yourself as many points as possible. So much respect to him.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of respect to these players that we're seeing here today, because they're showing up in strong fashion to compete. Again, like we were talking about before, these are some of the most stacked games that we've seen throughout the entire weekend thus far, and this is only heats. So I can only imagine how finals is going to be.
I would imagine finals is like this, but so much more exciting. Even though this is exciting as I've been, just like imagine all the excitement, but excitement.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of excitement here, but if you're some of these players going down early, this is your final shot here, folks. Last 40 minutes to qual. Last 40 minutes to queue here in heat number 3. And you kind of have to decide what you're going to do here first, because realistically, what's been working for some players might not be working for others.
Yeah, you just got to win the game. So, I mean, that's really all you can do at this point, right? You don't really have a choice. You got to play for the win. You got to pop off like we saw from Pablo and Bevies, like we saw from Jace and Anon. Just getting those big dubs, getting some big games, and pushing yourself up the leaderboard. You've had now a day and a half to figure it out. At this point, if you haven't figured it out, you're running out of time. So either go quickly, watch somebody, and figure out what they're doing to be so successful, or I don't know. I got nothing.
Look, I think at this point, if unfortunately you're in the bottom, I would say 70 of the leaderboard here and below, because remember, it does go lower than that, you kind of have to take a moment, sit back, and prepare for Heat 4, because it doesn't look like Heat 3 is going to be able to finish for you, but that's the best way to go. Get ready, because there is still one more Heat after this one, but we'll get to see more of Heat 3 after a quick break. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
in the heart of an ancient desert. The land of heroes awaits. Prepare yourself. To witness feats you never thought possible. Records will be broken. Legends will be born. And fortunes will be made. The stage is set. The largest esports and gaming festival the world has ever known. Ready or not, here it comes. Gamers 8, the land of heroes.
The land of heroes. I mean, honestly, we know it from experience. We got to see Gamers 8 live last year. And if you aren't trying to go, you're crazy, because the experience overall has been or was spectacular, and it's going to be even better this year. So make sure to check out gamers8.gg for your opportunity not only to compete and play over there in the event, but just join the festivities in general, because you can just make a trip out there. It is a beautiful, beautiful area, and we're so excited to see Gamers 8 continue here in 2023. But speaking of continuing, we got to continue on here with the remainder of the heat, because remember, we got about 30 minutes of rolling lobbies remaining. So only 30 minutes left for these players to qualify on to the finals.
And let's take a look and see where we are standing on our standings. Looks like currently Epic Whale and Reet still locking it down pretty much since after the first 40 minutes. They've been in first place. Thoric, Blur, Antics have made their push up there. Sizz and D-Gen still remaining. Bully and Muzz able to make that play. And then Jason and Non, that big game from them, putting them right smack in 5th place.
That's an interesting spot to be. I mean, look, nobody in the top 12 is secure at this time. I'll be honest with you, especially when you're looking at the bottom 12 there. Bronos and Oliver OG, spectacular players, but 293 points has not qualified on in some of these other heats. So for them, they just got to solidify another solid game. Ideally a win to push one of those lesser important games out, because remember, the top 5 games of your performance today, no matter how many games you play, are the ones that count towards your points on the leaderboard. But realistically, the real question is, can anybody dethrone Epic Whale and Reet?
Probably. I think there's probably teams that could do it. And I think shortly we'll see them lose first place, and then the last game of the day, they'll win with a 20 bomb and then finish place.
Okay, I like it. I like it. You already know, listen, when Reet has his mind set on just running around the lobby, boy, does that man run.
Yes, he does. He's one of, if not the scariest fighters that I've ever seen. And when Reet is in prime form, he just moves different. He's one of those controller players, and people could be like, keyboard and mouse is better than controller. And I think Reet is the prime example of that is not always the case.
Yeah, it's funny. He continues to surprise me. Even with the combination of the regions and the uncertainty of who was going to commit to the change in location as far as where to compete from, Reet showed me that he is here in this community to stay in a big way. So him and Epic Whale are definitely going to be one of those teams that I think, in my opinion, make it on to Gamers 8 after the finals tomorrow.
Reet's also pretty good at playing other games too. I mean, I've seen him put on a show playing a bunch of different games. So just a talented gamer. Luckily, we get to watch him play Fortnite, right? I think that's where he thrives most. But he's one of those kids that I think, regardless of what he puts his mind to, gonna be successful.
Yeah, I mean, success is a mindset, and that mindset is Reet's, because that man just doesn't slow down. Just like Mellow Dubs. Can we talk about this guy? If you don't know, Mellow Dubs, he's very talented. He's good at Fortnite, but he's also one of the most talented production guys behind the scenes. This man helped produce the NA West watch party last year with some incredible people like Connor. So to see him competing here and potentially walking away with one of those qualifying spots is actually pretty exciting.
Taking his talents to San Diego. Like to see it. Able to put on a show for us. And that didn't necessarily look like they were going to win that fight right off the bat, but able to turn that around, hit some big shots, and do exactly what they needed to. Now we're going to see Fusion and Leo going straight up for the island, looking to claim this spot. They won't be the only ones here, as Muzz and Bully, just to their left, have to be careful because this fight is about to ensue.
Yeah, and it's going to ensue quickly because zero build fights do not last. And sure enough, that's going to be Fusion going down as Bully ends up picking it up onto him. But with another set of players coming in, this could be a problem as it's Blur Antics and Thoric, another top 10 team here competing for the Pulse Rifles.
Yeah, both these two teams are in their top 5, top 6 right now, and this could be a big shift in the leaderboard. Bully goes ahead, gets one down, but oh, the big shot, the max pump, as they say.
Oh,
not gonna be
man.
enough though, because Muzz will come and clean it up. I got you, brother. Bully, you're getting picked up. This is our POI now.
I'm at a loss for words. This was not what I was anticipating seeing here. But unfortunately, it looks like Bully is going to have to be abandoned as Leo, unsuspecting solo player, looked to get back involved and actually ends up catching Bully's teammate off guard. And so Muzz forced to go away because he was unsure if it was a full team engaging.
Yeah, I think if Muzz could get the POV that we had, he'd be kicking himself right now, knowing that, okay, I could have easily taken a little 1v1 there, but now it looks like Leo tried to hit the reboot, and then Muzz was like, no, I'm coming up here, and I'm going to stop you from getting the res off. So are we just going to have an endless cycle of both of these guys trying to get their teammates back?
Well, I think first things first, Muzz has to go for the pulse rifle. I think that's the thing that makes the most sense. He gets that pulse rifle and then gets his teammate back in the game. But no, it's actually going to do it in a bit of a reverse here as he looks to bring Bully back and then go for the pulse rifle.
So it looks like he's trying to bait this. Not even necessarily trying to go for the reboot just yet. Is going to try and bait it. Leo misses. Oh, Muzz could have stuck that and got it off. Leo's not even going for it. What a play. The mind game's going on right now. Everyone's trying to mess with one another. Ultimately, Muzz is going to get Bully back, but that was a nice little trickery there by Leo.
Yeah, it was actually a smart play on his part. He obviously, if you didn't see, ripped it up in the air and didn't glide onto the side, but just glided close enough for that indicator on the screen to let Muzz know that, hey, there's a player here, and I might have to stop and fight for my right to get my teammate back in the game.
Mellow dubs. Mellow dubs. Mellow dubs.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody's talking about Loki, and the people were talking about Fluger yesterday. I mean, let's talk a little bit about Mellow Dubs. We got to hype him up too, man.
All right, Mellow Dubs sitting right behind this wall, waiting to hit the shot. He's trying to get those shots off. Boom! There is going to be different shots by a different player. It's actually Muzz chasing down Leo, and Bully are now trying to get some revenge for all those mind games that were played earlier. They're coming back for the player and trying to get those big shots.
And Fusion seemingly found his way back into the game, and unfortunately finds himself down again at the hands of Bully and Muzz. Because remember, Fusion was amongst his teammate was the ones fighting for this floating POI, and sure enough, Bully and Muzz were the ones to win that fight. And unfortunately for them, that repeat fight took place and still didn't go in their favor.
I wonder if they're going back to try and hit the capture point. We can see they already have the legendary slurp juice in their inventory, so they know that they'll get more if they hit the capture point. It's just a matter of quick maths. Are they going to have enough time? Once this zone closes is when it starts to 2-tick. You guys at home, tell me if they're going to be able to have enough time to sit in zone and capture the capture point. Go.
It's going to be close. It really is. I think, yes, they'll get it off because remember, it typically does drop additional chug splashes and additional slurp juices. So if they spend the time in there and spend the resources that they have, those resources most likely are going to get replenished.
The correct answer is yes. So you would be right, Mr. Panda. They have plenty of time. It's not going to be a rush. They can sit in zone if they take one of the legendary slurp juices for over a minute. That gives you plenty of time to capture the capture point and then figure out where you want to go.
Yeah, I think for a lot of players, it's kind of interesting that they're opting not to go for the floating POI. I'm confused because, in my opinion, the pulse rifle is that valuable, and if you have an opportunity to even get remotely close and challenge a team for that spot, you do it. Like, even looking at the eyes of like Pam, Stu, and Fats, for example, they weren't too far off from where it was at based on the last position we saw them in. So that could have been another team to challenge it. And we know Pam, Stu, and Fats are incredible fighters.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of like, is the risk worth the reward? And I think for certain teams, yes, it 100% is. But if you're not a team that's going to slay out and look to get a bunch of elims, then you really don't have too much to gain from playing that. You could just like slow yourself down, play a much more passive style, and ultimately have a chance. But then, you know, if you're a team like Source and Notch, Fatch and Pam, like you mentioned, probably is going to be worth it because you're going to be able to capitalize on the supremacy of that pulse rifle.
The power wielded in the hands can essentially gift people the win. In my opinion, if you play for the pulse rifle, you 100% can win the game with that. Now, it really depends on some of the other resources. Obviously, the shield bubble going to be a big one, but if you know how to hit your shots, you go for the pulse rifle. End of story. That's the way I see it, in my opinion. I know you have a more analytical thought process behind it, but I'm like, no, Panda, run for pulse. That's just the way my mind works. So, unfortunate for players that were unable to get the pulse rifle, but fortunate for Source because it doesn't matter. All he needs is the red dot. This bad boy, the red eye assault rifle, can do just as much or almost as much damage as the pulse rifle if used in the right hand. So, fortunately for Source, he is going to be able to get away from that unscathed and exchanging a few shots along the way.
Yeah, these two find themselves in a nifty little corner. Should be a great spot for them to chill, but our guy Lemon and Mellow Dubs able to get some elims here. Gonna be picking up Fatch, and Pam Stew's now the next target. Unfortunately, Pam Stew's gonna be able to take out that bush. That would be some prime real estate for them to relax for a moment. But the chase continues. Pam Stew's not getting away for free, and it looks like we're just hitching a ride. The shot, the snipe, and unfortunately for Pam Stew, he's going down.
That is not what you wanted to see, folks. I'm going to be real with you. It was definitely not. It's not looking good, bruv. As Mellow Dubs also having to try and disengage. No more charges in the kinetic blade. Going to have to use the chug cannon just to stay in this one. But honestly, it's going to be a close one here, as Muzz and Bully are probably the healthiest duo in the lobby.
The healthiest and the best going on. Another elim streak. Ben Pen gets taken out right there as Muzz and Bully hop on another elim. These two, I would expect to play a little bit aggressive to be continuing the rest of this game. And looks like Tiger Aura and Fletch are in this game as well. So you calling another win by them, Mr. Panda?
I mean, you know, probably not this one. I'm going to be honest with you because Muzz and Bully are just looking on fire here in this game. So we'll see how this finishes out. But Clip's just trying to hold on here. Finds a nice little edge and could potentially hold on. Yep, going to have to use that slurp juice to do it because with no charges in the kinetic blade, you don't really have too many other options.
And it looks like Tiger Aura and Fletch are going to start taking out some trees here, knocking down the doors, seeing where everybody's at, and hitting some shots there. A little dink going on. Looks like Clips does finally get taken out there by Fletch, and now it looks like Tiger Aura and Fletch need to decide where exactly they want to play. A lot of players have chosen to play in the trees previously, but in this game, we're going to decide to do something else, and it looks like Bully is getting another elim. Hector has been spotted out in his tree. He's going to choose to reposition and hang out back in this tree, but no, XC Sweaty is going to be able to take him down, and Bully and Muzz are in another fight. Muzz takes some shots, hits those shots, and that's another elimination for this duo that just continues to rack him up.
You know, I'm going to be real with you. Muzz and Bully can't be stopped here. Look at the loot that they have to work with. I think the only thing that could catch them off guard is a kinetic blade play from one of these teams, but considering that Bully and Muzz are already pushing in on the first solo player, it does not look good for others. Now, big shots coming through here for Bully, but DH going to be able to clean up some of the loot that they had left behind.
Yeah, just sitting there in the building, and if Muzz and I almost called him Mully or Buzzy. Either way, if they're not careful, they might accidentally walk right into this player. Likely they'll be able to make that change, make a quick adjustment to take the player down, but if they walk down there in the middle of a fight, this could be catastrophic.
This definitely could. So for Muzz and Bully, it just comes down to the next few moments here. Fletch and Tigerua are looking to challenge them. They said, you know what? We know you're close, but we don't care. We're better.
DHNK just happens to be surviving, thriving down there below, and we're trading shots back and forth. Shield Bubble's eating them all, and XC Sweaty appears to be the one that's going to win in this engagement if this fight happens right in front of him. Fletch now moving in. DHNK still just holding patiently, not exposing his position. The absolute insanity to sit there and not take a shot, but Bully is not going to hold on any longer. He gets one pump. Now Tiger Aura goes up. It's a 1v1, v1, v1 with 4 solos going around. XC Sweaty's going to take down. Oh, Muzz is going down. Tiger Aura gets them both. And now we have 3 players in the lobby.
Yeah, now it's down to the 1v1 here, folks. It's Tigerua who won the last game up against DH, and sure enough, he wins another. Can they be stopped?
Wow. Wow, this team. If we put them on camera, all they do is win, and it doesn't matter what.
I mean, honestly impressive, and that win may have just solidified their qualifying spot, so we'll have to wait and see how that affects the leaderboard here, because, again, this leaderboard is revolving as these games revolve, so it's going to be interesting to see how much of an impact that ends up playing there on the end of the day, but still, some Fortnite left to play. We got about 15 more minutes until these lobbies close up, and we see our final games, and curiously enough, we have potentially one more full game left.
Interesting. We'll probably watch 2, like a back half of 1, and then maybe one full one to walk us out of heat number 3. So interesting to watch as they continue to play, and we're gonna rock in straight to another one. Keep it rocking, keep it rolling, as we are jumping in here in the middle of a game. And look at that. There's 26 minutes and 11 seconds left. And we're tuning in with Alex, DNA, and DNA, one of the teams that have been pretty aggressive about going after that floating POI.
And a little update for you all at home. We actually have 25 minutes left of gameplay. The reason for that, we started a little bit later today. So guess what? You might have thought that this action was coming to a close, but we got a little extra for you.
I like it. A little extra video games, always my favorite.
I agree. Especially when I get to video game with you, SPG.
Nice. Always loved a video game. Been playing quite a bit.
Yeah, every day, pretty much.
Yeah, I think we could be the next DreamHack Open champions, potentially FNCS champions, potentially global championship champions, potentially whatever you want to call it. I think we have what it takes to win it all, besides the skill and the actual ability.
I'm going to be real with you. The reason that we get put behind the desk is because we're probably in that exact position that you mentioned. It's probably better to keep us right here, breaking down the action for all the lovely people at home.
And we do see a little fight going on over here. This is one of those spots that is a nice little arena for these two teams to be able to take a fight. And interesting, the team with the pulse rifle is the one that decides to disengage this. But I guess Mingo and Dom don't really have the opportunity to get on out of here without having one of those blades.
Yeah, I mean, look, the kinetic blade is everything here when it comes to trying to move and groove. So if you don't have one, you're at a massive disadvantage. But fortunately, the way that Chapter 4 Season 2 is played out, like, they are everywhere. You would have to essentially choose not to have one because they are just readily available across the map here for these players. So that's why you see a majority of the teams already having them in the inventory. But remember, the beginning of the day, what did I say was the team to watch closely? It was Nebs and Cease. Sure enough, that's the team now trying to take shots here at comeback day 2. And Kim.
Yeah, they've been sitting pretty. They had a great start and have continued to play pretty dang well as it's continued throughout the day. Unfortunate here for Prospering and Merrick. Does look like they go down. Loki and Ethan's are able to get those elims, so they are right out in the open. And I think, yeah, that's Cease and Neb saying, thank you very much. We will take that one. But yeah, Cease and Nebs had a pretty good start, stayed in our top 12, and have continued to remain in qualifying position. Really good to see them there. Definitely two solid professionals that have been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, definitely some pros when it comes to the zero build scene, and so many talented people here. Not just them, but even looking at Reeks and Nalo here, and Blizzy and Jaxie there in the distance. I mean, so many, honestly, proper teams. That's the way I'm going to say it. Proper teams. Teams that they just make so much sense together competing here in these next few moments. And curiously enough, potentially setting themselves up for a finals run here in Heat 4 is Blizzy and Jaxie. They are not quite in contention here for Heat number 3, but that could all change here going into the next set of games.
And they're sitting pretty right here on the edge of zone, just waiting for teams to move right into them. And another team to take a look at is Fernie and Arctic. They are the last team that needs to make that rotate into, or out of, I should say, Mega City. We also see Bevies over there. He's all by himself. He's lost Pablo earlier in the game, so unfortunately for him, gonna have to clutch this up all by himself with some ice in his veins. We know he's got it.
Oh, he's got more than that. He's got the heart of a lion and the heart of a champion. And it doesn't matter if he loses his teammate. He is gonna stay in, and that's what we're gonna see here as Bevies now just looking to stay alive. Another solo there just to the left. If he's in the right spot, he could potentially take it, but no, the better play, of course, just to stay out of harm's way.
And that's an interesting and smart little play by Bevies, knowing that since he's a solo, he's not going to take shots at a distance from players. So he might as well just use that extra slot for some extra heals and allow himself to tank a little storm and get optimal rotates here. But going back to Jaxie and Blizzy, this team is now in prime position to take this game. All they have to do is avoid having every player jump on them after they start an engagement, and right now they're doing a great job.
Yeah, I mean, a great job is kind of an understatement. They have phenomenally held where they're at here so far, and it's going to continue depending on who challenges them. But looking down low, you see Flaffy still in this one, Vinji in this one as well. Mega, though, now we see the challenge. We talked about how teams potentially could challenge them, and sure enough, Mega, Knifer, looking to do just that.
Bevies is able to find himself an elim there, stay alive. He's tanking in Storm in that shield bubble, just waiting for the last moment to be able to get in, and I don't know that there's anyone that has a direct line on him. Bevies is going to throw down one of those shield bubbles, and it looks like Knifer and Mega want to play for this position. So while Jaxie does own the other side, this is their game to lose.
Yeah, it really comes down to how they play out these next few moments. And for Knifer and Mega, they are set up here with everything they could possibly need. High ground, theirs. Loadout, theirs. And now all it comes down to is the final shot. Will it be theirs to walk away with the spot? Bevies is going to go down there to Jaxie. Now Mega immediately pushing in. despite Jaxie getting away, he is going to end up going down at the hands of Mega. And now the teams are on with 3 teams remaining. Knifer and Mega getting involved, taking shots there, potentially taking Reeks out. Reeks has gone down. Now it's a 2v1 here to finish it all off as Benji jumps in, hoping that he can make something happen, but no! Mega and Knifer finish off this game here in Lobby 2 to bring home another victory royale on the day.
That's solid from them. Not
Yeah.
waiting for any opportunities to get thrown into their lap. They see the fight happening down below. They're like, we got to jump on this and take this game. What a dub from them. We've seen them play so much better today.
We definitely have, and the improvements are definitely showing through, and that's kind of what Heat 1 and 2 are all about, right? Gives you a little bit of extra practice to prepare for the competition that you're going head-to-head against.
And you see just a bunch of these elims rolling through. I mean, so many of these teams that we've pretty consistently been able to watch have been slaying out, putting themselves in contention to get up there on the leaderboard, and it's such a challenge now. We're in the last, game, maybe 2. As we roll in for these teams, we'll watch more than that, but for these teams, you may only get one more game with about 20 minutes left in the queues. And it's all a matter of what you can do now. It's a tough time to decide, okay, how exactly am I going to play this? And Mega, Knifer, they've chosen to take it into their hands.
Yeah, I mean, the aggressive playstyle of Mega and Knifer here is uncommon for them, but exciting to watch. And seeing Mega be able to clutch it up there in that final moment of that game, it's exciting. Reminiscent of the old Mega Dubs days that we used to see in the past.
Ooh, that's a throwback. Not really, because they used to play together up until last year, so it's been a long time.
Early Mega Dubs plays.
Ooh, the early. It's still a throwback, right? A
Yeah.
year. The game's been out 5 years. Either way, it's a decent amount of time.
That it is. But speaking of time, we got to take a quick break before we get into the last part of the action. So make sure to stay tuned, and we'll be right back. The time has come. Who will walk away with Heat 3's 10 or 12 qualification spots to the finals tomorrow? We know Epic Whale and Reese sitting high and mighty at the top of the leaderboard with 417 points. But some of these other spots still up for grabs, SVG.
They are. We're already getting up into those 320s. Looks like Knifer and Mega, Bully and Muzz. I'd say those two are pretty safe as well based on previous estimates. Thoric and Blur, I think, are right there on the edge of what I would be nervous about and not necessarily sure that I want to wait and see how things play out. And then everyone else still has work to do. I don't think 330 is going to be enough. There's a lot of teams right on their heels continuing to play games, continuing to make plays, and it's all going to come down to this last match or two.
Yeah, like you said, it comes down to the next few moments here because we only have about 15 minutes left for these competitors to try and make something of their games. And if we dive into the last few games of the day, some of those competitors that need to step up, Bizzle Blake. It's one of the top teams that I mentioned initially going into Heat number 3. Sadly, find themselves in 31st.
Hey, there's still time. One solid match can make it happen. You drop a 20 bomb, and you know what? I used to think, okay, if you're asking for a 20 bomb in your last game, it's not going to happen. But I think I've now seen at least 2 separate teams drop about a 50 bomb in a duo cash cup for their last game and qualify for finals. So, Scented Cold did it yesterday. A couple weeks ago.
Wow.
Tayson Mustache, I believe, dropped a 49 bomb in their last game to win and qualify. So, I mean, I'm not saying
anything's possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's probably not going to be possible here for Moonshot, though. You see the elimination feed is already ticking away, and that's kind of what we anticipate here going into these final games. I believe it's going to get a little bit more aggressive as teams are looking desperately for their final shots, and other teams are realizing that maybe they can get into another lobby if they go down, so they're taking more risks than they typically would, and that's when the action really starts to heat up.
And we do see a lot of teams now. I feel like Mega City is starting to be a little hotter than it was at the beginning of the tournament as teams begin to walk over and land here, knowing that there's likely a few teams here, and if we can get aggressive, we can get a few elims off spawn. This is going to catapult us into having that massive game that we're looking for.
Yeah, that's all it takes. Here's a massive game to finish it off. We got to watch yesterday what was 4 teams vying for the win in the final game of the day. Could we see a similar situation today here, SPG?
Oh, 100%. I think this last game, especially because we have less players, we're really only running 2, maybe a 3rd lobby at a time. So there is definitely opportunities to see one last game become the biggest game of them all and really decide who is going to qualify and who won't.
One game to rule them all. You're supposed to say one game to find them. Come on.
I was just going to let that like marinate right there because
That's
you just threw out a
crazy.
reference that I really appreciated. So
I know you did. That's why I did it for you.
Oh, and I screwed it up. All right. Try it again.
One game to rule them all.
One game to find them.
Hey, let's go.
One game to qualify for DreamHack San Diego Finals featuring Fortnite.
Hey, now we get the full effect there. As wait, Epic Whale on the back foot needs to heal up here, and it's Benji and Check-In just pushing in. But you know, Epic Whale they've already qualified on. That game didn't necessarily matter as much, so probably we're a little bit more lackadaisical with the way that they played that.
Yeah, they don't really need to do anything. Like, I saw a couple people just, decided we qualified in time, and we don't necessarily need to play out our last game. And those two are in a similar situation at this point where they could definitely just pump the brakes and play if they want to, or don't play if they don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's up to you at this point. If you got 417 points in 5 games, you're good. There's no way that 11 other teams, or 12 technically, other teams get ahead of you. to be real. So they're pretty much heading on to the finals, or guaranteed to the finals. But now some of the teams like our fan favorites in Loki and Ethan's here going for it. Again, Loki and Ethan fans rise here, as this could be a big game for them if they can get this fight against Chicken.
Definitely could be a big game. Loki and Ethan's continuously being shown love within the chat. And now they're going to show some love to Chinese Chicken here in a second if they can catch him out. But Benji says, hold up, I'm getting involved here. I'm going to make sure you're not taking out my teammate. Bam, down he goes. And now it looks like Ethan and Loki able to clean this one up. And there it is, Ethan's grabbing that one.
There it is. Loki and Ethan doing exactly what the chat has been waiting for. And that is clutching up and staying alive here in this game. Curiously enough, I want to see what they can continue to do. Remember, they are not only fan favorites, but they are still in contention for the possibility of walking away with a qualifying spot.
And now we see Mellow Dubs and Lemon getting involved. Elevated seems to be the first one that goes in. Now it's Ty and Aaron Fox going down as well. Both players meet the same fate, as well as a couple of elims there for Mellow Dubs.
Mellow Dubs, our boy. We were talking about him before, and he continues to shine here on the big stage alongside his teammate in Lemon. Lemon is not somebody that I personally have followed too much here, SBG. How about you?
I can't say I have.
That's the exciting thing about DreamHacks. You always get to learn about new players and the big things that they're doing here. And speaking of big things, they're going for the vault. They want the key card, and they're going to be able to take out the henchmen to do it. But you see, look there in the distance. It is Matt Bruh waiting right there at the spot. And sure enough, Lemon didn't get caught off guard. While he did end up taking a little bit of damage, he still was able to slip away. So hopefully Mellow Dubs will be able to do the same here, and they can just go back for the vault a little bit later.
Yeah, there's so much loot here, so it's not really a problem whether they spend a little bit or able to get an elim there. It shouldn't really matter. What should matter, though, is Ethan and Loki now about to get jumped on. They got the vault open. They have their Mythic Havoc pump shotgun, but they don't have the time unless somehow, miraculously, they do have time to pick up Loki. And it does look like nobody's going to put that pressure on. It's just going to be the wild cards.
And the wild cards are the ones that bring the most excitement. Knifer going to be able to get the knock there onto Leo. Mega left now as a solo. He needs a big game here, too, to solidify his spot. Fusion could potentially take it, and he does. Fusion turns around what was a few rough fights that we got to watch to take out one of our top 12 teams.
Love to see that. A little bit of underdog rise up here in one of these last few games. And Leo, Fusion, able to successfully win the off spawn at Citadel, get themselves a couple of elims here, and move on through as we continue to play out some of the most important games. Prospering's chasing down a duo as they're trying to run away, and it does look like Prospering has found this duo. He needs his teammate Marok to come through, and Marok is going to come through, but then Prospering dives out. This is a tough combination for the two as they keep going in and out, trying to figure out how exactly they want to take this fight.
Yeah, it's kind of funny here for Prospering and Merrick. You see Prospering kind of duck out because he thinks his teammate's not there, and then Merrick is already in there, now having to fight kind of as a solo for a second, but fortunately immediately able to get out yet again. So that's the beauty of the Kinetic Blade. In and out you go, which keeps these fights going just a little bit longer.
That's the beauty of you.
Well, thanks. You know, you're pretty handsome yourself.
Oh, shucks.
Listen, you only get this kind of top tier commentary from Life with Panda and Somebody's Gun. So make sure that you type in chat, "We love Merrick and Prospering," because honestly, we love them too.
That's right. And if you say that in chat or you talk about Loki or Ethan's, we absolutely know that is all for us. It has nothing to do with the players. Yeah, definitely going to make some people super happy with that one. Nonetheless, Iro and Matt bruh is now looking to hold it down here at Bastion. They were the team camping the vault, but Loki and Ethans are coming in saying, "What's up? I ain't gonna be low key about this one. I'm gonna hit some shots, bruh."
Ooh.
Down he goes, Matt bruh with the big shot, and down goes Iro. Now it's up to Matt bruh. Can he make it happen? No, he can't. That's Ethans.
Ethans and Loki clutch it up again to take out another duo in Brutal Bastion.
Success. Very nice.
I got to give them the hype. Listen, I know there are some big Ethans and Loki fans, so you know every time they come on the screen, I got to give them that little extra hype.
Hey, they're clutching it up. This game is seeming to be theirs. So, let's see. I expect them. I don't want to say it. Never mind. Not gonna give them the caster curse. Not happening
Respect.
today because I've had very little luck with those. So they don't want me to say that they were going to win the game, and I don't want to say it either.
Listen, what I will say is there's only 3 minutes left here for these games to continue to roll. The last lobby will go in 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So if you're one of these players like Justin and Tarif who need a massive game, but unsure if you're going to be able to do it here in the game that you're currently in, now is the time to make a mistake, get back to the lobby, and qualify for the last one, because only one more game to go before this is all over for the day of Heat 3.
Go quick look.
There's a Heat 4 after this.
Yeah, we do. And we have the wonderful Caster Lash coming in along with Jacob MVPR.
Jacob MVPR. The man, listen, if you ever want to look at someone who has done it all in esports, that's the man. So check him out. Coming in Heat 4. Lots more DreamHack open action here featuring Fortnite. You already know the vibes. While Heat 3 is coming to a close, Heat 4 is almost getting ready to get started.
Yeah, they're revving their engines right there for Heat 4, but we still got lots of games to play. Oh, yeah. More car noises. You got this.
No, that's it. That's all you're getting. You're not getting no more.
Okay. Next time.
I promise. Next time.
Now we see Tarif, Justin making their way through. Lots of open space to travel through, and smartly holding their kinetic blade uses. That way, in case something goes wrong, they're able to quickly get out of this area. And you see they found their next target. Raikou, right over there by the gas station, is now in their sights.
Yeah, you see in the distance, Raikou just hanging out as a solo. Actually, his teammate is now coming into the fold, but for a second there, it was just him. And Tarif and Justin kind of missed the gateway to take an easier fight, but I don't think it matters because they already got his teammate down, and now they look to return it as Tarif goes down. Justin left as a solo, wants to do something, and he does, taking out Raikou to finish it off, but Raikou still has 50 seconds left to get into one last game.
That was almost an amazing clutch. If he was able to take both of them down after getting jumped on, I would have been very, very impressed.
Same. I would have too. I mean, it genuinely was one of those potential clutch moments, but when you're going up head-to-head with Tarif and Co., I mean, it's a tough fight to take.
I mean, any 2v1 is tough. Just got to respect the efforts at times. So now we get to see we're going more towards Mega City. This will be interesting to see how these play out. Very vertical end games when we're playing here at Mega City. Tough spot to be in if you're not one of the teams that can claim a building or one of these massive hills. So we'll see. Can any of these teams find themselves in prime position, or will they suffer the fates of everyone else?
I mean, that's the question here. How will this continue to play out here in the final moments? Because remember, this is it here, folks. Blizzy and Jaxie, this is their final game. No more games will continue to roll after this one for them. But you never know. This could be, it's not necessarily the last game for everybody here in the competition, but definitely the last one here for Blizzy and Jaxie as he looks to connect a beautiful snipe there onto an unsuspecting player, but not going to be able to connect it quite yet.
Yeah, that dude was just trying to deliver some pizza down below, and Blizzy's was trying to snipe him. It's gotta be. It's a tough world out there, man. When you're just delivering pizzas, getting sniped at, can't do anything nowadays.
Yeah, but you know what you can do? You can hype up Loki and Ethan's getting another elimination onto Fletch, who honestly is one of those players that I definitely think can qualify there in heat number 4, but unfortunately not going to be able to do it here in heat number 3.
Let me try and see. Let's scout the leaderboards. So they might be able to, actually, Mr. Panda. They are currently sitting in 19th place. They are...
But that was their last game. There's no more lobbies to roll.
Oh, never mind. I thought you were talking about Loki and Ethan's. I retract my statement and
I
refer you to my
was
lawyer.
talking about Fletch. But Loki and Ethan's 100% can qualify with a massive game here. Because like you said, they are in 19th place, which means they are currently... Actually, they just got up to 17th place. Live update right now. 312 points is where they're at right now. If they get into the 330-point range, they could take one of those top 12 spots.
It's already looking like you're going to need more than 330. So with our final queue just starting about, let's say, 2-3 minutes ago, it's going to be very close. And hopefully we're going to watch that final game play out as well, because as we know from our last heat together in heat number 1, it's for all the marbles. Whoever wins that game could very well qualify themselves to the finals, and I can't wait to see it.
I can't wait either, because it really comes down to the final moments of Blizzy now going down here. And of course, it's Tarif, the zero build pro himself, commonly known for his performances in Twitch Rivals events here in the DreamHack stage, looking to solidify a spot. But with Jaxie still on the hunt, he is not quite safe yet.
Not yet at all, and he's gonna look to run away, but the further he runs, the more likely he's going to be running into another player. And Jaxie gonna sit down here, find a nice corner, a nice little spot to hang out in. It's not a great position to be in playing as a solo in these games, but you know what? He could do it.
Wait, is it the legend? Toastiest Waffles and Sacred going in to fight Tarif and Justin. Sacred is going to go down, which means Justin and Tarif are going to be able to solidify another set of elimination points. But with Toastiest Waffles there in the distance, it could be a potential fight they don't want to take. However, the way that Tarif is scouting, they don't want it to end quite yet.
Definitely not. They do want to take advantage, though, of all these players in the lobby. Looking to close out one more of them. Down goes Moody, but Justin also goes down as well. Who will hit the shot? Both players looking for the right-hand peek. That's going to be Tarif hitting the shots. And that's a 14 elimination game on the docket for these two. Tarif making sure he's a little healthier just in case somebody jumps on him. And that's going to be another duo in the box.
And here's a duo battling it out on there, and of course it is Ethan's going to be able to pick up both Prospering and Merrick, which means Ethan and Loki are still just dominating this final game of the day.
Ethan's.
Let's go! Don't worry. If the chat wasn't hyping them up enough, you got two casters here to do the same thing.
And they're continuing to push themselves up the leaderboards here. Each elim is going to be huge for them. Not only is it those 3 points per elimination, but it's also going to be less players getting points, and then also placement points for every spot that goes down. So these guys looking nice and pretty for what appears to be their final game of the day.
Yeah, I mean, while this is a very close game for them to finish on, and they have some serious eliminations on the board, it could be enough. I'm trying to look to see where Tarif and his teammate are kind of landing here on the leaderboard, and they're in 23rd with this current game active, which means, and they only have 288 points. This would have to be the win with probably another 5 eliminations probably, and that would still be pushing it. So it's going to be close to see if they can qual, but if they don't qual in this one, they at least have some things to work on and go into the next one and potentially walk away with it in Heat 4.
Yeah, at least, hey, they're showing promise. So, like, worst case scenario, they've kind of figured out, okay, here's what the formula is for us to qualify in this heat. But I'm sure that they're looking to qualify in this heat. And, you know, all you got to do is win the game. Nice and easy. No challenge whatsoever. There's only, let's say, 11 other players left in the lobby for them. Take down all 11, win the game, and call it a day.
Yeah, I mean, but the job's not done. Job's not done. This is like Game 3 NBA Finals. They're just looking to finish this up. While this might be an important game for them to finish on, this isn't the last game of the entire competition, because remember, there's still a Heat 4 for some of the competitors that don't qualify on, and then, of course, the finals tomorrow. So still lots of competition to go on. But now we see another fight taking place with Ethan and Loki. But no, this could not be going in their favor, as Ethan now completely out of this one as Ars picks up the elimination. But Loki jumps on his head. But no, it doesn't finish strong, as Loki and Ethan are going to be out of their final game.
Loki and Ethan go down. So on the one hand, if you're a fan of Loki and Ethan, unfortunately, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to get enough points in this match. But at the same time, that means you get to watch another heat full of Loki and Ethan.
That's true. And honestly, based on the performance that we're seeing them finish here with this game, I don't see them not qualifying in heat number 4. Like, listen, I would be outraged if they don't qualify there in heat number 4, because honestly, they're probably some of the strongest zero build players that we've seen, for sure, throughout this competition. So they had a big clutch turnaround here in the second half, but sadly, probably not qualifying here in this heat. But don't worry, Heat 4 is right around the corner, of course, with Jacob PR and Lash bringing you that action. And so you'll get more of Ethan and Loki to finish off the day. Don't you worry.
They were just doing it for the fans, man. That's all it was. They knew the fans needed more Loki and Ethan, and that's exactly what they deliver. Now we do see Ars and Dala in a great position to win this game. If they continue to pull these zones, they won't even have to move off of this position. But now already putting some shots down below, as they do see that duo is over there. And I assume they're hearing some shots down on the other side, trying to get some damage on those players as well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's going to be close here as this finishes out. Just a few players remaining in this lobby. Tanka looking to get involved, though. His teammate getting involved ahead of him, and with the storm taken away as well, he does end up getting an elimination onto another player, but unfortunately, that causes his teammate to be completely out of this one.
Hey, his teammate got him an elim, though, got the placement points, and that's about as much as you can ask for. We have 2 players up on the ultimate high ground, one solo shifting and shifting in the mid ground, and then we have another duo all the way down below. Everyone will be forced out of the buildings. It is only free open space in this next zone. Let's find out who will be able to take it.
Yeah, it's going to be close, down to the wire. But of course, Dala, Ars have the best positioning possible for these next final moments, and Justin and Tarif actually baiting the shots there. Brilliant play there with the kinetic blade, trying to bait where this team is, and fortunately now scouting out where they need to go to find the next layer of coverage, and should actually be the time to force Ars and Dala off the high ground and potentially even the playing field.
And they are going to go immediately for the front side, preemptively throwing down that shield bubble. I thought the first one was a little quick, but I do like that in order to get some information. Now the zone is going to force down the players, and we see Ars and Dala preemptively, a little pre-fire of the shield bubble, making sure that they can use that as best as possible. Now we see Tarif and Justin just waiting for their opportunity. They will be forced to move here. As much as they want to stay behind that wall, it won't happen. The final player goes down to Storm, so no elims going over. And then Ars, Dala, the final 2v2.
It comes down to this, folks. The last two, Tarif and Justin, which almost had it all, unfortunately going to go down as Dala and Ars end up picking these final two eliminations up here in this game. But surprise, folks, you thought it was done? Well, guess what? We have one final game to finish off Heat number 3.
Another one. Here we go. It is time for all of the marbles here in Heat number 3. If you were close, if you already thought you qualified, you're now on the verge. It's no longer anyone's game. This is the only game. You must win it or you're sent home. That's not true, but it sounded cool.
But it did sound pretty good. And I'm actually getting word here. So Epic Whale and Reet were in this game, but Epic Whale out in 43rd.
That's okay. They're just giving everybody else a shot. They got first place locked in. They got the SBG guess of the day and seem to have been right for 2 out of 2 heats.
Yeah, I mean, hey, looking at the chat here, I see all the love coming in for Loki and Ethan, and we sending some love to good luck in Heat number 4 to you guys, but for players like Benji and Chicken, Heat number 3 is not quite over yet.
Not at all. And what we got to look for, guys, is trying to find out which team is reaching that top 12. It currently sits at 330 points. There are 6 teams in our top 12 in this game. One of them you're looking at right now, Knifer and Mega, sitting in 3rd place. Then we have Thoric and Blur sitting in 4th. Jason and Anon in 7th. Noah and Replays in 8th. Sizz and Dgen in 9th. And then our 12th place team definitely need to make something happen here in this game. Nebs and Cease, because there are several teams right below them on the leaderboards looking for a small opening.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, quality finishes here to everything going on, and Kirby looking to make a really big play here. He's got one knock, looking to get the last one there, and it's Oliver OG just barely slipping away into the trees and actually is going to be able to escape this one. Wait. Oh, I thought for a second that he was down to the fall damage, and sure enough, the bubbles coming out. He said, you know what, I'm probably not going to be able to live this one, so I'm just going to use all my resources.
Oh my goodness. I swore that we were about to get a meme style of moment right there with him going down to fall damage. I'm glad we didn't, right? I'd much rather him go down under somebody else's weapons, but a little tough one there. Hector and Kirby need a pretty big game here in the final game. They're about 50, 60 points behind Qual, so not only do they need a bunch of elims, but they need the dub as well.
Yeah, the win is what's going to solidify it all for them. But I think Venji and Chicken are looking to challenge them. They said, you know what? I know the value of that floating POI. I know the value of what is up there. So they may begin to challenge them here shortly. And so Mega and Knifer need to be very, very careful how they play this out.
Definitely do. And you see them already starting to slow this down, heal up as much as you can, but getting a little bold here, just using that shield keg right in the open. We see players rifting above. Conlu going right at Knifer here. This might be an interesting play. Does hit some shots, and yeah. See ya.
See ya. That is tough. See, this is what I'm saying. Even if you have what looked like a comfortable spot there on this floating POI that Mega and Knifer had, you're not safe. Especially when you got players like Vinji and Chicken looking to challenge you for it.
And they're getting after it. They must know that they need a pretty big game in order to qualify. So they're just playing super aggressive. Now they're going to have the pulse rifles as well. Luckily for Knifer and Mega, that lost fight doesn't really cost them anything. They should qualify through either way. So if anything, gives them a little more time on the rest of this day to go enjoy sweet, sunny San Diego. Now, there are plenty of other teams. One team I'm looking at in particular is going to be Clap. I just almost put together two names again. Casker and Clarity G. They are 7 points behind Nebs and Cease, both of them in this match. And actually, never mind. Casker and Clarity G have been eliminated, so Ignore me.
Yeah, I'm going to be real with you. I'm looking at how close this leaderboard is in the final moments. For example, Venji and Chicken currently sitting at 302 points. So if they win this game with, let's say, 5 eliminations, they surpass 12th place, which is Cease and Nebs currently with 330 points. But Cease and Nebs are still in a game as well, so they're in this game. So it just tells you that this is going to be a close finale here to see who qualifies onto the finals in Heat 3 and who's forced to play Heat 4.
This is a tough rotate here for High is goated. Goated on the sticks or keyboard and mouse. No one will know. In a good spot, though, regardless. Would love to see his teammate, but pretty central to zone, having the opportunity to rotate ahead. Should be in a good position here, and it looks like Mezzo's going to go down. The zero build goat gets him. That's going to be Blur and Thoric taking down those elims, and this is a team right there in the middle of qualifying.
Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say Thoric and Blur should be walking away with the qualification spot despite whatever happens in the remainder of this game. But you genuinely never know because there are still quite a few players up. Like we said, Nebs and Cease are still in it. Benji Chicken are still in it. Hector and Kirby are kind of on the threshold and still in a game. So some of these players could come in and easily disrupt what we know the top 12 to be right now. But it really boils down to this final game here, as Sim and DH are still in it, surprisingly enough, after losing one of the teammates early.
Searching around, scooting around, getting themselves in a nice little position here. And we see Nebs and Cease playing this one a little more carefully. They can see the leaderboard just like we can, and are playing this patiently, waiting for their opportunity to rotate in. Trying to stay as alive as long as possible and just like soak in all those placement points as everybody now starts to slow down. We were playing quite aggressive early, but now there's probably only 2 teams in this lobby that are jumping on everybody.
2 teams, super active, but teams like P-God and Ale King just playing what they can. And curiously enough, let me look. I don't know where P-God lies on the leaderboard. This is kind of a surprising development because P-God has been pretty consistent as far as zero build and just standard competition goes, but no, finding himself in 65th place as of right now, only with 216 points. So a bit of a cautious play here for Ale King and P-God. They kind of need to put the pedal to the metal here because unfortunately, otherwise, they just won't have any chance of qualifying.
Yeah, but it looks like they're driving a minivan this game, so doesn't really matter how much you put the pedal down. It ain't really going to go that much faster at the end of the day.
Hey, listen, I was trying to give them some extra gas, not give them a vehicle that uses extra gas, okay? Look, honestly, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but Cease and Nebs probably the big contenders here to walk away with a qualification spot at the end of this game.
And I think they've pretty much all but done everything they need to. Unfortunately for them, it's been a while since they've had anyone actually get eliminated, so as long as they've been sitting in the storm, they're really not gaining much from everyone else fighting because there really isn't anyone else fighting. We've had 17 players now for several minutes, and the only 2 that seem to be playing any somewhat aggressive are these 2, but just as I say there's no aggression happening, it's the 2 teams that are being aggressive. Venji going at it. Hector needs to hit the big shots. Down goes Kirby. Can Hector do something crazy? No, he can't. Chicken and Venji continue to slay through this lobby.
Wow. I'm going to be real with you. Based on that right there, that puts them into the top 20, and Venji and Chicken still could potentially walk away with a qualification spot. I mean, this is really going to be a tight game here to the final moment. All depends on how these next 8 teams play the remainder of the game.
And they really need to get as many elims as possible because, oh jeez, more are coming. That's Gloomy jumping on P-God and Ale King. Down he goes. P-God diving in the storm, trying to play as much placement as possible here. And he should find a nice little corner to be able to hide, but right now, what needs to happen for Chicken and Venchi, they need to find Cease and Nebs, because otherwise Cease and Nebs are just going to keep getting placement points, and that gap is not going to close.
Yeah, that gap's going to be a tough one to fill here. But for Blur and Thoric, they're looking to do it. They're looking to eliminate the remainder of these players and solidify not only their spot here in the top 12, because they've pretty much qualified, but they're hunting. Not only are they hunting for 4th or 3rd, they're hunting for 1st. And if they have a massive game here to finish off the day, they could easily take it.
Definitely can. We'll see who can take this game, though, as we're running out of players to fight in these. This lobby has thinned itself out quite quickly. Sorry, I just sneezed. Piga and Gloomy right in that building, getting pressured, though, by Blur in the distance.
Yeah, the pressure is going to be everything here, as the last bits of cover surrounding the area are beginning to dwindle down, with this zone primarily being a water zone. You see a lot of open areas for these players to try and rotate through, but unfortunately, if you're not using the Kinetic Blade in partnership with some of the existing cover, you could easily get eliminated, especially with players like Blur Antics and Thoric, who just know how to hit their shots.
They've been hitting pretty much everything that they can find in this lobby at the moment, putting pressure on, and Blur, Thoric find themselves right here on the edge of zone. Not a ton to be able to hide behind, but look at Cease and Nebs just in a perfect position to continue soaking up these points and have pretty much all but secured this qualification.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically theirs for the taking, and the longer they survive, the more they just solidify the position that they're in. But now, though, we see Blur, Thoric just continuing to eliminate any cover, any protection for these other players so that they can just finish this up quickly and easily. But no way did we see a nice little flick there from Blur with the sniper rifle. I mean, honestly, if I'm the remainder of this lobby and I'm hearing these shots connect, I'm getting a little worried.
Yeah, or I'm jumping on that team that's starting to hit them. It looks like Chicken and Venji have found the next team in their sights, initially wanting to avoid that, but now as soon as the shield bubble goes down, we actually see Benji get beamed up really quickly. So not going to be able to take as much advantage of this as they wanted to. Now going to have to look for something else. Venji has plenty of time, but time is not on their side. Elims are what they need. They're waiting to get healthy here and just going to choose to play and rotate in the zone. They found the solo. That's high ground is goated. He gets bopped by both players, and that is going to be what they need. Nebs and Cease go down. Now it's up to Venji and Chicken to make something happen. Blur Antics gets tagged up big. Chicken goes down. Can Venji hit the shots? This is the final elims of the game.
And it is all down to this. Venji could win it, but no, falls in second place as Flaws cleans up the last one with a flawless victory here to finish off heat number 3. Wow. The teams that needed to win, none of them walked away with it.